metaphysics is going to have to be the quote-unquote religion of tomorrow. If it isn't, you're fucked. Totally and absolutely.
All right. We are live and cracking. I'm going to start sharing everything so everybody can hear everything, see everything.
There should be at least 3 likes.
At least. So yeah, man, we are live and cracking on another beautiful afternoon here. I'm going to assume everybody had an extremely excellent and productive week.
Yes, sir.
Niceness. What about our Yakubian brother here? I mean, I know you day drinking and you're ready to get it cracking. How was the week, brother?
It doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter. None of it matters.
Well, let's get right into it then.
I am so... I every time I feel like I reach a point of enlightenment and detachment, there's something I have to engage within the culture that just really... It crushes my hopes and dreams that there's sincere actors involved in any of these public conversations. And it just really bugs me. Like, all of this... I watched the Piers Morgan Kanye interview. I am convinced that if Kanye was still with his wife, he wouldn't be doing any of this. The needs of the black community and the fucked up contracts, I think, just wouldn't be on the top of his priority list. I do think we get this righteous impulse when all of the things that we love that kind of distract us from being martyrs and activists, you know what I mean? When all of that's taken away, then we kind of sit back and think. So I think the best thing that they could have done if they didn't want Kanye doing this was just let him have his distractions. Let him have his surgically augmented wife and his children and his family and the house in Calabasas that he designed with his own hands. And I don't think they would have had any of these problems. But for all the people having these commentaries, because I saw through the matrix. I don't know if it was the Crown. I don't know if it was the Delta 8 Whole Foods lean. But I saw into it, and I feel like I figured out how this whole game works. But in all of these interviews, there's never a preamble with all of these people that have these really harsh opinions about these things, right? There's never a preamble that kind of just lays out, look, the only reason we're engaging in this conversation and the only reason that it's even worth to try to gain some understanding in these competing perspectives is because we are in agreement that there's a huge, horrific problem in America being ignored, where certain parts of the country where hip hop is said to be maybe incubated in the photosynthesis of suffering, in these places where black people in America are suffering the most, where the culture is the most self-destructive, right? The only reason we're engaging in these conversations, if we're serious, is because we care and we want to see an improvement. We want to ease human suffering. We want to fix the problem, right? And if you notice with all of these conversations, that always gets a back seat and nothing ever happens. And one of the points that he made was, look, George Floyd became your martyr. He became the fentanyl martyr. He wasn't Malcolm X. He wasn't an activist. He was a dude.
Did he die of fentanyl? I think that was proven that he wasn't, right?
Well, it was a contributing factor. So the mathematics, if you will, on the matter is 3 nanograms per milliliter will kill you. That's enough to kill you. He had 11 nanograms per milliliter. Almost triple the amount to kill you. So
we're suing Kanye for $250 million. So I don't know.
Well, more than likely, whether that incident with the police would have happened or not, he would have probably died from an overdose. That was likely to have happened regardless. But even that's not so much the point, right? He points out, so we were sincere actors. We said, hey, I think even if statistically it doesn't line up, thank you so much. Even if statistically it doesn't line up, and the most, 2 unarmed deaths that aren't actively attacking the police at the time that they're shot versus 5,000 black men, women, and children murdered by gang violence, right? Even if you say those 5,000 lives, that's not where our attention and resources should be. It's the 2 people who were accidentally killed by police violence when there really wasn't a good reason to do it, right? So statistically, you can't support it. Let's just say, for argument's sake, you know what, you're right. There is, fuck Roland Fryer and his Harvard economic degree and his work on the matter. It doesn't matter. Statistics, numbers don't matter. Just how do we feel? We feel like we're targeted and that there's a particular egregious police brutality, action going on specific to the black community. So let's just take that premise at face value. And the biggest example of this was George Floyd, and the world changed forever. And people weren't going out and looting. That was just bullshit. They really were going out of genuine, sincere care for the black condition and wanting to change the world.
Man. That's why.
Well, look, I'm just saying, let's take it at its most basic shit, right? Hold on one second.
Yeah, man. The dogs and the fire hydrant hoses, man, stopped me from doing marches in the 5th grade, bro. I'm like, oh, that's what they do in marches? I'm good. I'm good. Those were well-dressed brothers and sisters too.
Nah, that shit don't matter. It don't matter what you wear.
Hey,
bro, they're gonna get at you.
It's a wrap. I forgot who made the argument talking about we gotta dress better. That's why we're going through the shit that we're going through. And they went off on them. I'm talking about what?
Well, I think I think there's an argument to be made for it because of, just the science of enclothed cognition. You know what I'm saying? When people dress a certain way, when they carry themselves a certain way, it kind of trickles down into their consciousness. But it's not like if you wearing a suit, you can't get beat up during a fucking protest.
Police check.
Like but if people dress differently just in their everyday lives, maybe I think it's possible. But pimps wear suits too, and they still slap a bitch's head to the white meat. So it's not like
it doesn't matter. Only negative outfit that I have is sagging of the pants. It doesn't make any sense to me. We all acknowledge that in jail it means you're opening yourself to homosexuality. But we can go back to
had some goons at the door. I apologize. They knew what I was gonna say. They were sending the goons to like
real quick.
There's gonna be he's gonna give away some secrets. Just make sure you keep it on the original juice shit. Don't give away from chosen beverage shit, and we'll let you live. I'm sorry. The point I was making was, if we take it all at face value and we say, okay, we listened to what the media said. We were told to be upset. We were told to be outraged, right? And what's the end result? 50% more black people are getting murdered in that area of fucking Wisconsin than before the George Floyd shit. So that's why I'm saying I don't think any of these people standing up and telling us what to be outraged about at the end of the day really care like sincere intellectuals in the hip hop community.
Even if they do, it's hard to determine.
Well, then I would say this: they're not owning their results because they're not getting good results. The fundamental condition of these things hasn't changed for 50 years. We just have spikes where more black people are getting murdered. Black people are still getting murdered, but not as much as in the 90s, not as much as in the 70s. Like we go through peaks and valleys, but the fundamental condition of these spots has just gotten progressively worse. So we've got all this rhetoric, we've got all this outrage, we've got all this activism. We've engaged in all this activism, and we're worse off. And those places in America are worse off. So now we have to start trying to have a conversation about, well, what is actually going to improve the situation? That's where that sincere conversation is coming in, but that's not what the conversation is. So when Kanye comes out and says, hey, I think this is a hoax. I don't think these people were sincere. And I think any objective person that looks at the facts and the results would say, yeah, I think if you go to a place and more black people are being killed now than before, and the leadership is writing fat checks to all the people that they know, and they're buying mansions for themselves, and fundamentally nothing has changed economically, politically, right? I think it's safe to say that, yeah, He's right. He's right. It was a grift when nothing has changed. But then what the conversation gets turned into is, yeah, but we don't like the way you phrased your discussion about Jewish people. That is now the primary issue. But it's like, wait a minute, shouldn't we be talking about the fact that nothing changed, people got rich, and nothing improved, and people were outraged, and they put up black squares, and companies tried to speak the lingo and pretended that they give a fuck. But at the end of the day, like, if black activism was a business, and you sit down with your accountant, you'd have to admit, like, the business is failing. Like, we're not getting a good return on investment. Like, if we were having a serious conversation that was results oriented, we just go through phases of where it's politically expedient to have black people outraged. We're going to make sure that they're outraged. But as far as actually addressing the conditions that we're supposed to be outraged about, no fundamental change takes place there. And the fact that they shifted the conversation from that to the fact that I don't like that he I don't like the way he phrased things about the Jews, lets you know that it's all bullshit. And I'll say one more thing and I'll shut up. And trust me, I have a lot more outrage I want to let off my chest. But one thing to point out, Farrakhan took up the rock of truth. So this is, and this lets you know that this conversation is not being, this conversation, the tone and the direction of this conversation is not being set by hip hop. The tone and direction of this conversation, like so many other things, is being directed by somebody else. You could fill in the blanks with whatever group you think or whatever power structure, however you've made sense of it in your mind, who has the Dick Dastardly mustache and is just plotting out diabolically. Frame it however you want. I just know that if you don't frame it the way that you're allowed to, you're going to get in a lot of trouble. If you frame it as the rich, if you frame it as cis white males, if you frame it as America, as nebulous and abstract as that is, it's not a problem. If you start getting more specific than that or touching on certain third rails, you're not allowed to hold those opinions. But I am very, very curious for the explanation. I'm very, very curious about the explanation. That when
there is no explanation, we're just
no.
outraged.
Well, hold on this. We gotta talk about the rock of truth real quick. When Farrakhan said you gotta pick up the rock of truth, right? The charge of anti-Semitism against black intellectuals and hip hop is older than we've been alive.
Yeah.
This is an old thing, and we're pretending like we just figured it out.
I think it comes from Farrakhan, to be honest with you.
No, I have my suspicions of where it comes from, but the Nation of Islam,
I don't mean to cut you off. Not that I mean like it's their fault and they're starting it, but it's just like for whatever speech that they had, somebody didn't like what they said.
Into it.
Yeah.
There's been problems with blacks and Jews sharing space in America since it started.
Yeah.
There has been a conflict.
Old black exploitation movies, like these are the people who owned the land before we were able to live at that land type of shit. It's gentrification before gentrification.
My grandfather was murdered and my grandmother was shot in the head and she survived. They happened to be European Jew business owners in a predominantly black neighborhood, Liberty City.
Sucks, man.
It was about 2.5 weeks after Fred Hampton was murdered. They didn't tighten up the register. More than likely, it was just we hate that these motherfuckers are here. So the reality of people getting gassed on this verbiage and going out to be violent, and yeah. Does every black person have to answer for that? Absolutely not. The people that do the crime answer for it. Sure. But to pretend that there's not a long-standing tension between the European Jews in America and the black community is incredibly dishonest. You're just not informed. And so the point that I wanted to make about Farrakhan is not that he said anything anti-Semitic. Farrakhan is very clever in the way that he frames things where it is really kind of hard to pin him down. But much like Kanye West, when he articulates himself, he does so outside of the parameters of what PC culture allows. You simply can't talk or mention Jewish people in that way. You simply cannot. And the question becomes, why? Why not? Why? Why can't you?
Because everybody else could be questioned and talked
talk about the white man is the oppressor, the white man this, cis white males. Like we've really gotten a hard on in the last 6 years for really attacking white masculinity. Like we were told, like, okay, you are allowed to be mad at these people. You are allowed to say derogatory things against these people brazenly. No problem. But you can't say those same things about certain groups. And the question becomes, well, who really is in charge of that? Who's in charge of when the media has to take a position against an actor or a rapper or a famous person? Who's in charge of making that call that we can't release the Epstein story? Oh, you better not talk about that dude fucking kids on an island. Like, the news does curate information, and now with social media, every human being with a smartphone is a part of helping the propaganda machine or helping shame people into conformity. But I just want to point out that Farrakhan's position is, and possibly genetics, everybody doesn't subscribe to the out of Africa theory. Not everybody's impressed with the DNA of the Bushmen in Botswana. And there's theories that, maybe human beings speciated in 3 different areas around the same time and aren't a part of the same thing. Who knows what 23andMe is really figuring out. But if you take Farrakhan's position is, I'm Arabic. I'm a Muslim. We're the original people of planet Earth. There's no people on the planet that do not come from us. That's his position. I don't know who validates one person's position and doesn't validate another, but what Kanye West is saying is very much like what the Nation of Islam has been saying is, yeah, we are Semitic people. We're the original people of planet Earth, and we happen to be Semitic. We're Asiatic black people, right? And these European Jews branched off and started their own shit, but they ultimately come from us. Now, we can have a debate whether that's true or not. One side shows their scholarship, another side shows their scholarship. That's fine. But the fact that there's some power structure in place that says, no, you can't even have that conversation, that should make everybody just a little suspicious. And if you
everybody knows about it, though,
you would be. But I just want to point out the difference in between Vlad's anti-Semitism and Kanye's anti-Semitism. When Vlad attacked a Semite, Louis Farrakhan, his position is he's Semitic. He's an Asiatic black man, Arabic. He's a Muslim. Muslims are Semitic.
Vlad is atheist.
It's Ismail. It's Jacob. They descend from the same lineage of people that found favor with God because they were willing to murk their kids. I will murder this little Rogan if you tell me to, God. I will stab him up. I will shank him up if you tell me to, Lord. Give me the word. And there was lineages that popped out of that. Allegedly, I wasn't there, but people seem to believe it and operate off of it. So where was the coordinated media scramble to cancel Vlad? You know who canceled Vlad? 2 Rogans. Lord Jamar and Godfrey. They were like, we don't like how you're talking about the minister. You're an anti-Semite. You are being accusatory to a Semitic gentleman that we respect, who's a big part of hip-hop culture, a culture from which you've made your entire living. So we're not going to do interviews with you anymore. That was the extent of Vlad's cancellation for his anti-Semitism.
And everybody brushed it under the rug.
Compare that.
Well, I wouldn't say brush it under the rug. He can't have any interviews anymore with Lord Jamar and Godfrey. I mean, that's a
right,
pretty severe. That's a pretty.
Vlad is doing all right without those 2.
Right, he's not. He hasn't ruined his empire, But I'm saying, Kanye's empire isn't necessarily ruined either. He got a couple of shows canceled. He lost some deals, but the point is, compare that with Kanye. If you think what he said was unenlightened, if you think what he said was incorrect, If you think what he said was hateful, and I think you're entitled to that opinion, you could interpret it that way. I personally didn't find it to be hateful. I found it to be he's struggling to communicate clearly on what he's feeling. But he's getting the sense as a black billionaire operating within America and being defamed by the American media, he's getting the impression that there are gatekeepers and there is powerful interests within the American power structure, specifically in media and in business, that if they choose to, they can curate the narrative about your life and sway public opinion and take away your revenue streams. And I don't think he's wrong to sense that. I think most of us that are paying attention acknowledge that that's absolutely a real thing. Now, whether
happened to Jesus?
Well, right, but whether it consists exclusively of European Jewish people, that I don't know. He seems to frame it that way, but the idea that what he's saying is completely out of left field with no validity, no foundation on which to stand on that and say, yeah, I'm getting this impression, I think is bullshit. And to say that this hasn't been a long-standing debate in hip-hop is completely dishonest. I think Professor Griff was canceled. It was either in the late 80s or early 90s.
Listen, I forget Ice Cube, there's the whole list of it.
Yes.
It's been going on for years. If you're a true hip-hop head, you can't ignore that every once in a while there's this Jew canceling going on with a certain person. Every time.
Well, this is the secret. This is the secret of why Mossad was banging on my door earlier. There's two stereotypes in America that are third rails, and they represent the two extremes. The one stereotype takes an extreme version of black people that have been popularized by hip-hop culture. Drug dealing, violent, will fuck you up for any reason that you say the wrong shit. You stepped on my sneaker, I gotta take you off of here. Does this represent every black person? No. Are there white people when they engage black people that are shocked when you don't behave that way? Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a different problem and a much less concern to try to work out. But that's something that every black man in America has to deal with on some level. This stigma exists. This caricature of us exists. I either operate in spite of it, or I operate in knowledge of it. So even as enlightened as Don is, even though he has found the voice of God and deemed it dolomatic, they called him the bald head as he passes. So he summoned the she-bear to eat all they asses. That's the brilliance. But he still won't eat fried chicken in front of white people.
Right.
He refuses to do it.
You can't.
And I understand.
Can't be done.
Right. Listen, and nobody would fault you for it, okay? But the reality is this thing exists that black people have to deal with. I'm dangerous. I might fuck you up for no reason. I'm willing to get violent at the drop of the hat.
It's tough being cool 24 hours, bro. You can't be cool every day, bro. It's tough.
This is an identity that black people have to deal with as a group in America. And if you suggest that identity is valid in any way, then you're going to be canceled. Even though black people will tell you, yeah, if you go to certain places, you will find people that fit up to that. It's a reality, but you can't address it. Now compare that with our stereotype, because this is the polarity. There's no white people that are more white than European Jews in America. Like all of the stereotypes, like when Homie the Clown was looking for the man, it wasn't some country bumpkin in Appalachia making moonshine. You know what I'm saying? That's not the white man. The white man is in a business suit. The white man controls people. The white man has power. So when you talk about who represents that in America, the caricature is really of European Jews. Like, yeah, you're the CEO. You're successful. You're running Chase Bank. You're running Loud Records. You're running whatever, right? And that's a stereotype that European Jews have to carry in America, which is what? That we're in charge of shit, that we have disproportionate influence and power within the culture, and we're really, really tribal and stick to looking out for our own, right? That's the stereotype. So ask yourself, which stereotype really is more flattering? You're a fucking degenerate drug dealer that will kill somebody for no reason, or you're in charge of everything?
I like the in charge of everything. It's the power I'm trying to tame.
If you had to choose, but this is the polarity, because I came to a revelation, because we're all fighting with each other. We're being told who we need to hate, but we're really trying to get a sense and figure out how we're because again, what's the preamble? We care about these problems. We want to solve them. There's been a lot of fucking talking, but nothing has been solved. And we're being forced to try to figure out what's going on and cultivate solutions and figure out where our attention should be within the parameters of this conversation, where there's these third rails. And Kanye stumbled upon a third rail. He began to get a sense that, hey, I'm dealing with a lot of Jewish businessmen. They seem to be really ruthless and shrewd in the way that they do business, and they seem to really look out for their own people. I'm starting to see this. And whenever I try to speak my mind, I'm being told by Jewish people that I'm not authentically black because I've come to a different conclusion about how I think black people should invest their political energy, right? And I'm not saying that the Republicans are the answer for black people. I'm just saying that the Democratic agenda absolutely isn't. And there is a real deal, undeniable power structure in place that is fighting to make sure that the influence of black people is in service of selling products and selling politicians in tune with that agenda.
Biden said it, baby. You ain't black, you ain't voting for him.
Absolutely. And that's real. So now us as common people, we're trying to figure out, well, what's true? What's bullshit? What's the solution and what's not? Right? We're trying to figure that out. And there's been rules placed upon all of us that really make it difficult for any of us to say what we really think. And we've made the game as such that we've drawn this line in the sand that if you say, I disagree with this, that becomes, oh, you disagree with that policy? You're disloyal to black people and you hate black people. Well, wait a minute. I'm disloyal to black people killing each other and voting Democratic so that they continue to live in poverty and are more likely to get involved in gang culture, because any sort of cultural solution is off of the table. As soon as you start talking about a cultural renaissance within the black community, that's already racist. So it's like, well, wait a minute. I came to the table as a sincere person saying, hey, I do think that these conditions are fucked up. There's problems within here, and what we've been doing isn't working. I think there's an alternative. Well, that alternative hasn't been approved by, and you can fill in the blank with whoever signs off on it. So therefore, because we haven't signed off, and whoever we is, you fill in the blanks, because we haven't signed off on that, what you're actually saying is that you hate black people and you've betrayed black people. So this was the conversation. The conversation for Kanye was, hey, I like Trump. I don't like the Democratic Party. I don't think they really care about black people. That's his opinion. It's just an opinion. That doesn't take away Kanye's blackness. That doesn't change anything about his success. But what should stand out to everybody is that immediately there seems to be almost a coordinated effort to make sure that that message gains as little traction as possible. Why? Why can't that just be his opinion? Why does that constitute betraying blackness? Why is there this campaign on social media to cancel Kanye, to delegitimize him as an authentic black voice?
General elections, baby.
Right. And none of these people going after Kanye went after Farrakhan. Farrakhan has been on the Breakfast Club. He was not pressed for his anti-Semitic comments. People did not make a hullabaloo about, and Farrakhan's got a lot of juicy clips. He's got some hot takes.
He got bars, baby.
About European
bars.
Jews.
He definitely
So,
got bars.
so where is the text from Puffy to Farrakhan? Where is the hate from Charlemagne the God to Farrakhan? Why is Nori not trying to rein in Farrakhan? Why are they trying to rein in Kanye? Why? Right? Because you didn't have that energy with the minister, but you got that energy for Kanye, and you are a hip hopper. You goddamn well know that Kanye West was not the first person to bring this up. This has been a long-going issue within black consciousness in America, which has looked at Jewish people and said, it really doesn't make sense that European Jews have been able to accomplish what they've accomplished as an oppressed people, but we haven't. And why they seem to have been given an inordinate amount of power and influence that we simply don't have. That after they had their tragedy, the world rallied around them. And never forget, the nation of Israel, this isn't me bad. I'm not saying whether it was good or bad. I'm just stating facts. The nation of Israel was created against the will of 40 Arab representatives that said, no, we don't think we should do this. And the UN said, too bad, Rogan. You need to move. You and 500,000 of your buddies need to get the fuck out. They own this land. Their story says that it's theirs. They got this thing called the Bible, the Torah, the Nevi'im Ketem, whatever. You can't get in. Fuck you. You got to go.
And they know this shit don't work because they did it with Pakistan. Like, you can't just move people and just put people in places and a government's just going to happen.
I don't think they give a shit.
Of course they don't give a shit. But that's my point, is that they don't care about solving problems. And we on social media, we as hip hoppers, we as thinkers, are going at each other and hating each other and unfriending one another and getting in debates with each other because we're being forced to define what authentic blackness is. And some of us have noticed what we're being told is authentic blackness is not coming directly from black people, and it's absolutely destructive to the black people that you think or you proclaim that you care about the most. That's the context in which we're having this debate. So it already puts Kanye on the defensive. It already puts him at a disadvantage. And anybody is at a disadvantage if you're wanting to have this conversation. And look, goddamn well Method Man said, sticking up Jews with German Rugers. That's a fucking dope line. You wish you wrote a line that good. Sticking up Jews with, if I was ever going to drop an album, it would be called Sticking Up Jews with German Lugers. Right. That's a fucking great line. And you know what? It got edited. But you can go in there and riggedy Rogan. Roganish behavior, Roganish lines. Rogans can kill Rogans unabated, uncensored, uncut, raw. There was never a Jewish executive to step in and said, look, listen, Spice One, I think our body count's a little too high. I think it's irresponsible to put this out to black people because you know what? Black culture is kind of bigger than this. And now all of a sudden it kind of becomes at one point, black people come up with cool shit. And America recognized, holy shit, we can sell politics, we can sell politicians and products just as easily, and nobody seems to be able to influence the fucking world like the shit that black people come up with. So we've got to make sure if black people are wielding this power of influence, that it's very much monitored, it's very much on a short leash, and it's very much in service of our agenda. You fill in the blanks. I don't want to even get into that. But whatever our is, that's been recognized. These these African American gentlemen in the hood seem to be creating styles and culture. Even if it destroys themselves, we can still use it to sell politicians and sell products. Now ask yourself, do you think that their main concern is the efficacy of selling the products and the politicians, or actually the impact that it's going to have on the black community? And at some point, it does start to become, yes, it represented a small swath, it represented a particular experience, but now it's being sold to black people en masse. And little kids coming up who are like, oh yeah, that's that shit. Now all of a sudden, it's not the Malcolm X hip hop. It's not the let me borrow this book and you need to hold this book. It's not that. And when we were kids, that was an aspect of it. It wasn't just the rhymes. It was, yo, they're rhyming about some shit that's in this book. You need to read this. You need to be hip to this. You need to know about this. But for wielding this mass influence culture, at some point there was a decision made that says, you know what? These motherfuckers love this destructive shit that's programming their children to kill each other, and I'm not gonna fuck up this cash cow. This shit makes money. This shit influences the black vote. I'm not throwing it away. And I don't think black people, black intellectuals that actually, again, the preamble, and some dude on Facebook or some dude on Instagram that really just wants likes and he's got swag and he wants people to like, he don't give a fuck. I'm talking about people that have actually invested their blood, sweat, tears, and burned the midnight oil, pondering shit, reading up on shit, educating themselves, studying, trying to figure out, applying their mind and their genius to the question and to the problem in front of them to fix it. I don't think those people are making the decision to say, you know what, let's just keep putting out this destructive culture. Let's keep putting out these murder jingles because they're making money. I don't care what it's doing to the black community. So if Kanye comes out and says, you know what, I've contributed to that, because he's definitely a hypocrite. It ain't. Look, Kanye is not J. Rue the Damager. Kanye is not Chuck D. Kanye is not Talib Kweli. Right?
They'll tell you different though.
Well, he can say whatever the fuck.
The genius delusion.
Like, that's what I'm like. He'll get. That's one thing I noticed about him from watching like these recent interviews. He'll bring up like his parents like black triumphs and be like, that's me. I'm like, no, that always confuses me about him. Like he over exaggerates the thing his mother and father did.
Yes, but you know what? Look, it's easy for us to criticize because let's just keep it real. The three of us collectively, we're a droplet of Kanye's wealth and influence.
Of course.
We're not dealing with the shit that Kanye's dealing with. I get really annoyed by his megalomania. I personally think he's overhyped, because if we want to talk about mad scientist, super genius stuff, like what is he really doing? Like he's fashion and music. Is that pushing the narrative as far as the planet?
Think about it this way. When we see James Bond villains and these megalomaniac geniuses that end up doing all of this great shit, not great as in good, but great as in large scale, we very rarely get their full backstory about how they amassed their wealth. Like, we just assume that they've been in criminal organizations forever. We just happen to see Kanye amass his billions. And now we're starting to see the story arc where his consciousness is coming to a crossroads. Either he's going to go dive in, dig in, and do the shit himself, like Sway told him to do 10 years ago, and he screamed on him, and we all laughed about it for a year afterwards. Why won't you just...
And he apologized.
Why won't you just do it yourself? You ain't got the answers, Sway. And now he's like, Sway had the answer.
Sway had the answers.
Like, I'm proud of him for even saying that sentence, to be honest.
Me too. Out of all the bullshit that's going on, I'm like, that's the most happiest thing. I'm happy that he said that.
Right. That he admitted that. So we're getting to see this place where he could either go all the way left or go all the way right, because he has the money, and contrary to what they want people to believe, he still has the power and the influence too. Because there's a lot of people who's like, oh, I'm done with Kanye, but these are like fickle black Twitter people. They're not like people who really stand on principles and shit like that. They still with Dr. Umar blaming the destruction of the black race on a black dude marrying a white woman. Like, it's just this ridiculous out of left field bullshit. So he could make some big changes and make some huge impact, because he has everything that it takes to do it. It just depends on how he processes this particular time in his life right now. Is he gonna go crazy because, like, Charlemagne said he was screaming to him on the phone, said,
"Oh, that was hilarious.
That was some of the funniest shit I ever heard." But you know what? As much as Charlemagne overhypes things and talks crazy, he's kind of making me feel like that's something Kanye actually said. I feel like he might have really said that. And did you hear about this? Like, he said that.
Play the clip. Play the clip. Play the clip. Play the clip. Play the clip.
Is this gonna make me more madder?
It's gonna be hilarious. Play the clip.
Well, I'm gonna look for it right now, but
I don't think I can take anymore.
Play the clip. Play the clip. Play the clip. You got to.
Okay, I'm gonna try to find
fair
it.
Enough.
And I mean, listen. He, like I said, he has everything it takes for him to make a huge impact right now, or become a Bond villain.
It's a Brilliant Idiot. Charlemagne, Kanye, Brilliant Idiots, and then what's Homeboy's name?
I wish I.
What's Homeboy's name?
I mean, dude, his
one.
His influence is undeniable.
The top one, right there. That one.
Okay.
And so.
Oh, this is somebody else's video.
Yeah.
They're talking over. I gotta find the part, but yeah, Charlemagne claims that
somebody he knows
that Kanye was divulging some information to him over the phone. Is this it? Yeah, this looks like it right here.
My wife is out here fucking a white boy with a 10-inch penis, and you telling me that's your friend, but you're supposed to be culture?
This is.
That sounds like something. I could hear him saying that.
Exactly.
but I just want to be clear, dude. Like, listen, as homophobic as hip hop culture could be, when you start specifying the exact dimensions of another man's penis, you've lost me.
Yeah, but you know what? I feel like Kim probably relayed that information to him in a text message. And I feel like she would have told him that in the text message. And
with all his crazy escapades with her, I wouldn't be surprised.
He might know firsthand. You never know. They get down. I mean, if you marry Kim Kardashian, you don't give a fuck, bro.
Yeah.
Pete Davidson definitely looks like he has AIDS. He looks very greasy. He's got like little assholes around his eyeballs. Like, he's a goofy looking dude. I don't understand his appeal, but the consensus seems to be that he's packing.
Yeah, hey, listen, I don't know. Hey, I mean, just one more time for clarity.
But I'm not. Yeah, here we go.
Bro,
Charlemagne is the reason why that's out there.
Yo, you know Pete is my friend, right? Finally, he goes, my wife is out here fucking a white boy with a 10-inch penis, and you won't help me? My wife is out here fucking a white boy with a 10-inch penis, and you telling me that's your friend? But you're
I kind of feel like that's true. I don't even doubt Charlemagne in this moment. It sucks, but that probably actually happened.
Well, what Kanye has showed us really is again, you could, and there was some genius shit that he said. The thing is like, you gotta, there's an elephant that took a shit on your front end, on your front lawn, and there's a diamond in it. That's how you gotta sift through Kanye's like verbal,
like the Bible.
Diarrhea. Yeah, fair enough. And not much dissimilar from the Bible.
Right.
Kanye definitely indicated to us that, hey, well, listen, because here's the thing, and he said it on Drink Champs, and the fact that they took down that episode again lets you know there's a they. You can fill in the they with whatever blank you want, but there's a they.
There's a they.
And what he said was, well, listen, black people, you know all this shit's going around. You know Breonna Taylor was moving fentanyl. You know George Floyd died from fentanyl. You know that we're out here killing each other way more than the cops are killing us. You know there's a problem within our culture. You know we need more Malcolm X discipline and organization than fucking just pageantry and braggadocious shit. You know what the game plan is to get us fixed. All right, Kanye, my brother, I hear you. So what do we need to do? What do we need to rally around you to do? All right, black people, let's galvanize your resolve. The next time this white bitch doesn't tell me where my kids are, I need the culture to rise up and tell me where the fuck my kid. What? You trying to organize black people to help you find out where your kid's birthday party is? Like, again, but this is the way that this is why we need to get off.
You have to blame internet culture for this. You want to know why we have to blame internet culture for this? Because when Nicki Minaj has a problem, the barbs come out.
I know.
When Beyonce has a problem, the hive comes out. So he was looking for his little group.
Fuck about the person. We gotta rally around each other over principle, not the person, because the person is gonna use your energy for their personal shit, for their personal wealth, for their personal safety, for their personal whatever. That's why we can't make it about the person. We got to really make it about the principles. And unfortunately, again, I'm going to be fair to all parties. Kanye is probably a megalomaniac because when you're dealing with money and power at that level, you probably got to have that kind of energy. Otherwise, you're going to fucking be completely demoralized and defeated by all the negative shit that the media throws at you. So I don't fault him for being a megalomaniac. Maybe at that level, you kind of have to have that energy or you're just not going to survive or be able to get that kind of money. But also, I fault like the people's attention. Nobody's doing their due diligence to say if this shit, like I heard Hassan Campbell, he's talking about Candace Owens put out a documentary. And in the documentary, George Floyd is in the back of the car and he's talking about he can't breathe. This is new evidence. No, it's not, Hassan. That shit has been out for fucking ever.
Yes,
everybody knows.
Yeah.
The problem is the media curated it. So what black people got was George Floyd couldn't breathe when he was on the ground. Keith Ellison? He was, I think, the AG of Minnesota, and he withheld that footage. But eventually that footage came out, and it came out before the trial. That George Floyd couldn't breathe while he was in the car, and he said, "Can you please take me out of the car?" Because he thought that would help him breathe. He requested to get out of the back of the police car and be put on the ground so he could breathe. That's not new information, Hassan. And I'm not faulting Hassan Campbell because he's not a media dude. You know, I think he says a lot of right shit, but I don't expect him to do his due diligence. That due diligence is supposed to be from news people, and news people don't do that. They're not doing their due diligence because their goal is not to get to the heart of the matter or solve problems. It's to propagandize people with a specific agenda. And again, this is the context in which we as hip hoppers are forced to have this conversation about the path forward, and we're being put at odds with each other. And the reason why Kanye has a special place in my heart, and shout out to Slop Funk Dust, he defriended me over the Kanye shit when he went to the White House. Kanye's cooning. Kanye just wants to make a mockery. He's making us look bad and blah, 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 blah. So because we've been programmed, I'm trying to make the point like, listen, he's trying to change the curriculum in Chicago schools. If we agree with Dr. Umar, even though he's ridiculous about who you can marry, even though he has not built the school, when he says black people have suffered because of the deindustrialization of America, he's right. So if there's a president that says we need to stop sending jobs overseas to China, we need to build shit in America, black people should be rallying around that regardless who the president is, because that helps the black community. So if you say that that's your main aim, I want to improve the condition of black people, right? You're not going to hate somebody who's saying we need to do things that's going to bring more job opportunities, more economic opportunities to black people. And when Dr. Umar says, look, if you love a white bitch, you've betrayed us, you ain't shit. Everybody applauds. Yeah, that's some real shit. But whether you marry a black woman or a white woman, how that fundamentally changes the condition of the black community that's suffering the most is negligible. But when you talk about black children
have a difficulty being educated by white women who can't relate to their culture or their condition, yet they're the ones that are trying to teach them. We would be better off with black men with black curriculums teaching black children in predominantly black schools, right? Don't you think we would be like, yeah, I think that would be more helpful? But we universally, because we were told to, hated the fact that Kanye went to the president with Jim Brown and said, look, we need to change the curriculum in black schools in Chicago because it's not meeting the needs of the community. That seems like if you were a super pro-black dude, some shit you would be totally on board with. But because we've been brainwashed by the media and the media told us that Kanye is cooning, we're telling Kanye, you're a coon, don't meet with Trump, don't change the curriculum for black kids in black schools. But yet, that's the very thing Umar has been saying for what, a decade now?
At least.
The school system is dominated by white women, and they don't know how to relate to young black men. And as a result, young black men are getting lost in the system and ending up getting in gang culture and going to prison. We're hip hoppers. We care about that, right? But we can't come to a meeting of the minds and cultivate a real deal pragmatic solution because the well has been poisoned. And I don't expect everybody to do the research, and I'm not mad at the people that have done the research. But I guarantee you, if we got Slop Funk on this podcast, he would absolutely say, yes, I think that the black community in America has gotten a raw deal, and I do think we should take action to help improve the condition of those communities. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I think that that would be his position. But because social media operates the way that it is, right? The default setting is we have to hate Trump, we have to hate Kanye, and yes, they both talk like assholes, but we're not educating ourselves enough to say, hey, what they're saying is actually in line with what we want. We should not be committing our vote just because Obama figured out that the influence of black culture could get a president elected doesn't mean we should relinquish ownership of the black identity and black influence to the Democratic Party. We should be shopping it around to whoever's going to do the right thing. And if we're being honest about our results, what we've been doing so far is not working. So now we're in this really fucked up situation where we have to have a conversation where, yo, I love you. I want the same thing as you. I don't want to be at odds with you. But there is a machine with disinformation that is wedging a gap between us and causing us to be ineffectual. Yes, we're grifting. Yes, we're protesting. Yes, we're putting black squares on our social media, but we are not fixing the condition of the people that we say we care about the most. That's worthy of a debate, right? Shouldn't we be concerned? Shouldn't we be honest with ourselves and saying what we're doing isn't working? And this should reveal this reality to everybody. There are powerful interests in place that are perfectly okay with black people having the worst, most self-destructive culture on the face of the planet. And they don't care if black people in the hood are adopting this culture, reinforcing this culture to their own destruction, because when we package it in a murder jingle, we can sell records and we can rig elections. Black people have that much influence.
Look, can I just drop some truth on you though, to keep it all the way real? And I know this is some race traders truth. I'm gonna just keep it real. Those arguments, even if you had them with the average level-headed person, that's like you said, like Doobie was saying, blame social media. The average level-headed person that's out here engaging in these conversations, they consider themselves pro-black or whatever you might have it. Even from what I've seen, most of the ones who are super intelligent, not goofballs who just hollering silly shit. They're intelligent. They write dope content. They got all the ideas. At the end of the day, it's all going to boil down to you can't LLC yourself out of white supremacy. That's the new movement. So no matter what you suggest, they're going to say, yeah, that'd probably be fine if people dressed different and treated each other different. And if people stop killing each other, that might help. But the problem really is still white people. The problem is colonization. The problem is, not having reparations. The conversation is never going to end at anything that involves self-accountability and evolving your own consciousness.
But it never used to be that way.
Right? No, I get it. I get it.
When we were,
you know what they're gonna say in 2022, when you say we could do this and we could do that and we could clean up our neighborhoods, they're gonna say, well, they did that before and white people blew it up. We've done that before. We had our own banks, and white people burned everything down. They're going to cite something that happened 100 years ago to say why you can't.
Why we're not going to invest our shit now?
Murdering
that's
people
a bullshit
today.
Excuse.
It absolutely is. But that's where the conversation is going. So everything that you said is absolutely true. But even with the best of the best, most likely it's going to trickle down to what about white people and what about reparations?
But here's the thing that and again. This is a conversation that needs to take place because the problem with black consciousness in America, when we talk about what is the national debate and discourse, is that there is a cognitive dissonance that nobody wants to address. There is an assessment that is absolutely Marcus Garvey at 100,000%. White people are never going to accept us. We're never going to get a fair shake.
Right.
We need to be black separatists.
Right.
We need to have our own communities, our own economies, our own nation. We cannot coexist with white people. Okay? So when you listen to the rhetoric that's accepted by black people, it is absolutely Marcus Garvey. There's inherent racism. It cannot be beaten or negotiated out of the white mind. We have no chance. Even though Kanye is a billionaire 11 times over, the average black man, don't even try. You're better off selling drugs to your homeboy's mother and ruining your community because you know what you're never going to do? You're never going to be a successful billionaire in America, even though there's another black man that's successful and a successful billionaire. So you know what? This situation is hopeless. So when it comes to the assessment, we are Marcus Garvey all day. We cannot fix this. But when it comes to the action, we're Thurgood Marshall. Hey, fuck it. Whatever we got, we're not leaving. And that's the problem. You can't have Marcus Garvey's assessment without Marcus Garvey's plan. Marcus Garvey's assessment was white people aren't going to change. We're never going to be able to make it here. We need to go build a nation in Africa and not have anything to do with white people. But whenever you press somebody that espouses that assessment, they do not have that agenda.
Nope.
There's no plan to leave. There's no, and listen, if you love black people, if you love to see black success, you should not be encouraging. Listen, I don't want black people going to Liberia and trying to build an infrastructure there. I don't think that's the best. I don't think that's the best plan. If you love black people, if you want to mitigate black suffering, you're not telling black people to leave America. No. There's a better chance that you will be prosperous, successful, and influential here than if you go anywhere else. So the problem is when it comes to our assessment, we're Marcus Garvey. When it comes to our proposal, we're completely inactive because we're not operating with that Marcus Garvey energy like we need to get the fuck out of here. We got no plans on leaving. So if we don't have any plans on leaving, then we just need to tell the truth. And the truth is there's no place as a black man where you can make more money, where you are more influential, where you have more of an opportunity to make a better situation for yourself and everyone that you love than what you have in America.
You can even tell yourself white.
Listen, the reason why I think that all of these voices and these people speaking up don't give a fuck about black people is because they're disconnecting black people from that reality. And there's a real world cost. I grew up with, and I know people, okay, that they bought into that narrative, and they have been fucking struggling ever since. They got armed robbery charges. They got shit on their record because their position, and I don't think they would have gone down that road if they thought I've got a chance as a black man to be successful. But they bought into the narrative that the system is so against me that there's no reason for me to even try. So if I gotta pistol whip this Rogan, I gotta pistol whip this Rogan.
Bro,
Who gives a fuck?
I used to have that thought process.
Of course, you listen. There's no. I'm gonna let you in a second, Doobie. But there's no black man in America that is remotely intellectually curious who hasn't had to confront that reality and deal with that at some point. And that's not my conclusion. That's Don's. And that shit that you said, dude, was absolutely real. Every black man in America that has been intellectually curious has gone through your fuck these cracker phase. It's inevitable.
You have to. If you haven't gotten to that stage, you ain't reading nothing. Not you even
ain't reading enough.
You ain't reading nothing. You ain't consuming enough media. Period. Because I remember I was going to a school, and that took me to see Mississippi Burning as a teenager, and my white teachers looked different to me after the movie. I mean, you can't help it. You gonna take black kids to go see fucking Mississippi Burning and then bring us back to school like, all right, people, all right, look at the chalkboard, and everybody's just like, this bitch. You're ruined, bro. Once you start,
I know
reading,
when I seen X, bro, I was like, yo, I want to write about this man, and I was like in the 5th, 6th grade, and they're like, you can't do that. It's just not part of the people you have to write about.
Yeah, I mean, like it's an inevitable place, but also that's not where you're supposed to just live at. You're supposed to evolve from that place because it's an incoherent point, especially if you actually read history and you study anything other than just what's handed to you. Of course, it's not. I don't know if it's part of the whole psychological warfare or not, but having teaching black children like the inception of black existence on the planet begins with slavery. Like when that's how your lesson plan is laid out, it seems like it would be more beneficial to the overall idea of white supremacy to start the story like first the Moors came and raped us all, and then a few thousand years later we got them back. Like that would be a better story to tell.
No, man, history in elementary school, going back to remember it, it started with like being kind to the indigenous people in some way, and then just something it went left. Like, how are we warring with these people?
Right? Yeah, they don't.
What was thinking? How is it that Thanksgiving is about them showing us how to survive, and then next thing you know, we're putting them and moving them from their land, and we're warring with them? Like, how is that possible? But
I think it's
man,
it's an overall better lesson plan to at least send all the children home confused, to go home and confuse all of their parents equally. So when they start asking questions like, so who's the bad guy here? The only logical mind could just be like, humans. Like, white people were enslaving white people, black people enslaved white people enslaved black people. Everybody fucks everybody.
Yeah, when I learned
over.
about the serfs, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. That changes your mind. If all you know is fucking roots and black people getting their foot chopped
off. Once I learned about serfs, I was like, wait a minute,
what? Slave master raping people.
You're not getting the full picture.
You're not getting the full picture. At least back it up a few thousand years to be like, no, white people did the same thing to white people. So yeah, and also let's back that up a little bit longer too. And look what these black folks did to these white people over here. Then they could just be like, oh, so we're all assholes. Maybe they'll come to that conclusion. But that seems like a better plan to me. But who knows? I'm not a teacher. I don't know. I'm sure some conspiracy theorists can tell us what the overarching plan is. But it's not just coming from the system. It's coming from, well, I guess it is from the system just generations before, because black parents and people who have to, they protect the idea of slavery. Slavery is like, exclusively belongs to black folks in some people's minds. We were slaves.
But there's a history of
black misery. Black misery is being milked to sell products and to guarantee elections. That's why black misery is being mined. It's not being addressed with a sincere spirit to say, what are we going to do to assuage for all this fuckery? What are we going to do to make it right? And the problem is sincere people are jumping into the debate and getting involved with the discussion on social media because they're coming from that perspective as a sincere person. But what we have to realize is like, look, this is not why the power structure is addressing black pain. It's not because they give a fuck about correcting shit and improving the conditions. They just know this is a wound that is still so open, that there's still so much salt in, that they can tap into that and get black people to get on board with shit that does not improve their condition, but actually makes it worse. And that's a powerful tool that's at work. And so having this conversation in that context, it poisons the well. It makes it very, very difficult. And it's the reason why, because this is the best thing that can come from this. We don't have to agree with Kanye. And like I said, I don't think Kanye is completely devoid of ulterior motives, right? But this is absolutely a conversation that needs to be had. And that's why there is such a coordinated effort to make sure this shit gets snuffed out and that black people abandon Kanye West as quickly as possible.
Hey, I don't know if it's gonna. I mean, it's obviously working for some people. Some people are absolutely done with them because of some
absolutely
like some random shit. Michael Rappaport's on fire. He hasn't been on the internet this much in the last 10 years. He's all over the place. I heard him ranting today about he's getting comfortable now. He's like, and you know what? I don't like people who use the word Jew instead of Jewish. So if you say in the word Jew, you can get the other syllable out. He was mad. He's uncomfortable with the phrase
I heard
Jew
that
now.
too. But can I just point out that Jewish is more non-committal than Jew?
Right. Jew-ish.
Can we just say like if you were like, listen, you're a faggot. Nah, I'm kind of faggy. I'm faggish.
No,
I'm not a faggot.
The Hebrew Israelites don't even refer to themselves as Jewish because
they
of
say
the word
Jews.
Ish. The word,
and look, if you look at all the trend,
that's what it means. It means little bit. It's not even fully committal, like you said.
Right, and if you look at all the translations in the Bible, the word Jew appears again and again and again. Right. It's in there.
So
and look, and listen, I'm not gonna shit on Michael Rappaport. Listen, come on this show listen, listen. He played Remy in Higher Learning.
Exactly.
You did a great job.
Exactly.
We love you. But this is a and listen, and I'm gonna this is why Mossad was at my door. Jewish people are not cool. The only way we have any kind of cool is that we're with Italians, right? Like fucking the Fonz, which is basically the Rogans of white people. If you do the history on Italians coming to this country, they're the Rogans of white people. Or we love some black shit. And the reason why is we're fucking corny. We are corny as
Larry
fuck.
David's the man. Don't you dare slander Larry David on this podcast.
I love Larry David.
But listen,
I love Larry.
But we are not cool unless we've been around some black people.
Right.
We're just not.
He has a black roommate.
And Michael Rappaport, okay, I'm not shitting on him. You're entitled to your opinion. I disagree with your opinion, but I don't know you. I'm not going to attack you personally. But let's just be real. You've made a career based on assimilating into black culture. Am I wrong?
Nope.
You've made a career on assimilating into black culture, and the times where you've been checked the most, look, I forget the name of the basketball player that told him to go fuck off, but that clip is hilarious. I don't want to say blackface because that's condescending and insulting, but the reality is we borrow a lot of shit from black culture.
He's Negro adjacent.
He's adjacent. He's Negro adjacent. That's the reality. And listen, I'm fine with that. If the black community accepts you and you can roll with that swag, and you can still find an audience, I'm fine with that. But when you start coming into the discussion about how black people feel about Jewish people, I think you need to give Kanye some grace. I think the right thing to do is not to just flex for Jewish culture and the easy thing. Like, dude, when you sent me that fucking corny ass song about that Hasidic Jew making rhymes about how Kanye is wrong, I cringed so hard. I think I got a fissure in my anus. My body could convulse so hard that I got fucked up. It really, really, really bothered me. Like, if you really care about black people, you need to let black people say what they really think. And the truth of the matter is black people have issue with European Jews. Black people are very whether you want to take it from the Kanye angle that they're jealous, or whether you want to take it from another angle that guy's or whether you want to take it from another angle that black people are still kind of upset. Like, look, the Jews had their Holocaust. You threw out Palestinians and gave them their land. We went through slavery based on race alone, and you didn't give us Atlanta, Florida, and Louisiana, right? You could disagree. You could say what's pragmatic, what's practical. You could argue about Libya or whatever the fuck, but you got to at least be sincere about when you talk about how, as a people, European Jews are doing in America versus how the worst conditions of black people in America are. There's not a debate to have. And I would like Michael Rappaport to be empathetic to the fact that he made a career out of adopting black swag, and I'm all for that. If Jewish people are not around black people or Italians, we just have no swag. That's the reality of the situation. So I'm fine with...
Even on mute, this video is cringe as fuck.
I just want
to... Fuck Michael Rappaport. Fuck Michael Rappaport.
Did you understand? Listen,
I would respect him more if people like, I agree with you, Kanye, and just made a whole like song out of that, like agreeing and saying how they did have power. But this is just corny as fuck.
Dance in circles.
Oh my god.
We just hold hands and run around in a circle. We are corny. We are the corniest of the corny.
What is this thing around his right arm that's supposed to? I know it's some type of Judaic thing, but what is he doing?
Listen,
what is the meaning about the thing wrapping around his arm? Like he's trying to be cool, but it's not really cool because the small hat kind of wears everything out.
He's holding a menorah like a gun. He holds a menorah like a gun, bro. I just want to say that his name is Kosher Dills for anybody who wants to look this up.
No,
it's so cringe. It's so cringe.
I just want to say that the phrase Kosher Dills would be a derogatory comment if anybody else called a Jewish person that. Like, I feel like you're pimping your own. I mean, it's like black folks calling themselves nigga. Kosher Dills is
Nigga Jones,
right? It's pretty close to just like a self-deprecating title. The bars, I don't know, man. It's rough. I don't even want to play any of the actual audio because
it's so bad.
I'll say that it was delivered.
Listen, if Remedy
delivered well, I'll give him that.
If Remedy made a diss track, I would be more inclined to listen to it, because Remedy is a dude that I think he's from Brooklyn. He's been around black people. He's been around his Israelite culture, Nation of Islam, 5% culture. You're understanding and defining your European Judaism in the context of you're operating within a black created music genre. It's a little different. This dude, I don't know who he is. I don't know how connected he is to the culture. But Dills, bro. Listen, I've never heard of Kosher Dills. If I'm not in the culture to the extent that everybody else knew who he was, people
Shout
that
out
love
to Nigga Jones.
Listen. All I'm saying is we've come to kind of a fork in the road where we've had a lot of dissent and a lot of listen,
wasn't there a reggae version of this at one time ago? Wasn't there a reggae version?
I'm sure there might have been. They sampled Horace Andy. You can find Remedy and R.A. the Rugged Man sampling some Horace Andy.
There used to be a reggae version of a Hasidic Jew doing reggae. Yeah, there's also a black
Mayatashu or some shit like that.
And there's also a black Hasidic Jew running around rapping too. All horrible. All of them horrible.
But look, if we come from
they go right here. Kosher
but here's the
Kills
thing.
and Matish Yahoo have a song together.
Oh, they got tracks together. Okay, I'm even more off-putted. But look, the reality is, and this is what this is the thing. We as hip hoppers have been divided because of politics when we want and we love the same thing. I give a shout out
of hip hop. Like,
listen, Slop Funk Dust, I love you. I'm sorry that I offended you. And this is my biggest regret. Surreal, first of all, Surreal, it's outside the statute of limitations. The statute of limitations in Florida is 4 years for drug trafficking. Surreal used to sell coke and heroin. Surreal was a fucking thug.
Allegedly.
Okay? And when I had a 6-pack and I was diesel as fuck, I stepped to Surreal and he put me down in less than 3 seconds. Okay? Surreal is, if you want to say what is it that makes you a black dude or a hood dude or whatever, Surreal fits that criteria. He's my only white friend. Okay? I had to bury a friend. Peace. Shout out to Slim Hustle. I wish you would have dealt with your pain a lot better. I'm sorry we had to bury you before your time. And I had to go to a funeral, and it's all funerals. Any funeral I attend where I'm not dropping the Israeli sand on the casket before they lower it into the ground, I'm the only white dude there. And I'm not saying that as a mark of honor. I'm just saying that's the reality that I'm experiencing.
He's saying it as a mark of honor.
Fucking white dude. But I'm being lectured by other white people about what real black allyship is, and I have no tolerance for it. But I have come to the conclusion that, look, I don't want to beef with Slop Funk Dust. I don't want to make people like Surreal and other black artists, because this is the thing with me. For whatever reason, people that other people love, they don't love me, but the people that they love, they just fucking love me. They like hearing my perspective. They like building with me. They like hearing my guidance and my counsel. They keep me in their camp. But I always feel fucked up, right? I hate the fact that Surreal is getting hit up by other hip-hop artists and by graffiti artists. Like, what's up with your boy Absalom? What's up with that dude? Like, is he a white supremacist? Like, what's going on with that dude? Like, I hate that I'm creating problems for the people that I love. So when I attended this funeral as the only white boy, I'm looking at all these people that I grew up with, and I'm like, yo, I love all these people. I want the best for them. I want the best for their families. We grew up in a similar culture. None of these people would look up and say, yo, that Rogan, Yakub Cavemanistein, yo, that dude is a white supremacist. None of them would say that, right? But they have to make excuses of why they love me, despite the fact that I'm going against the narrative. And I hate the fact that I'm creating those problems for the people that I love. I hate that. But the reality is we have to have a really difficult conversation about European Judaism and the black experience in America, which is going to unravel all of this fucking narrative that is defined for all of us about what we should care about and how we should invest our energy in terms of activism. And what we're going to find out is that black people have been used by the system to sell politicians and to sell products. And they've been used by that system with no concern about how the culture that they are cultivating is dooming. Listen to me. It's dooming black men, women, and children. It's dooming them. And if you really love them, if you really care about them, if you really wanted to change their condition, you would not be making money off of murder jingles. If you were a responsible European Jew in the hip hop culture, you would say, you know what's going to help change your shit is if you adopt the principles and the values that we have. And the reality is, and I said this with the Nick Cannon shit, go to any fucking rap. Listen, if you don't, listen, I love you, Slop Funk Dust. I love you. If you want to really get to the heart of the matter and you really want to get to the truth of the shit, I'm giving you all of the secrets. The reality is that people know that if you give people the truth about what culturally is going to work and empower you and help you be successful, people have disregarded that shit as some white boy shit. If you go to the black community and you as a European Jew say, listen, this is what we're doing to build wealth. This is what we're doing to change our condition. This is what we're doing culturally.
Fuck out of here, B. That's that white boy shit.
Listen, to make sure we have strong families, to make sure we have education, to make sure we have economic education. If you go to the black community and you say, listen, this is what's going to help you the most, you're going to be absolutely blackballed. You're going to be labeled a white supremacist. Even though you're presenting to the black community, hey, this is what's worked for us, we don't mind you taking it. And again, go to any rabbi. Any rabbi will tell you that Jewish scholarship has absolutely confirmed that we never conquered shit. Let me repeat that again. We never conquered shit. They will tell you that in the Torah and in the Nevi'im and the Ketem, when we talk about Joshua going out and conquering other races and other pieces of geography, it never happened. They're going to tell you the truth. We were in Babylon, we were slaves, and we needed to define our culture so that we could survive through that fucked up situation. That's when we wrote the shit down. And any European Jew that sincerely cares about the condition of the black people in America that are suffering the most, they are not going to have any. And again, we brought this up when we defended Nick Cannon. We never conquered.
You guys defended Nick Cannon?
Yeah. Absolutely. And we have no geographical evidence of it. Every Jewish rabbi that you talk to will tell you that all of the scholarship shows us, all of the anthropological research tells us that all of the claims in the Bible that we went out and conquered other territories is false. But we were slaves. Listen to me. We were slaves in Babylon, and we needed an identity to galvanize our resolve so we could do better as a people. And when you go to America and you see black men standing up and saying, we're the real Jews, what they are doing is exactly what we did. Exactly what we did. Telling a bullshit story that's not true, but gave us a sense of identity and purpose that helped us survive the bullshit and improve our condition. And I would challenge Michael Rappaport and any European Jew, if you are going to deny that ability to any black man in America, you in the Vlad category for me. Lord Jamar and Godfrey need to boycott you. We should never deprive that. Black people in America, in the hood where Democrats control, are suffering. All of this hip-hop shit, this swag, this style, these record sales, this shit, the vax, no vucking, back that vax up, all that shit that we use to sell products and politicians comes from the suffering, the real deal, unmitigated suffering of black people in America. If you are not willing as a European Jew to let black people in America tell themselves the same bullshit story that we told ourselves so that we could get in a better position, then I have to question the authenticity and the sincerity in which you are stating that you care about the condition of black people. So what are we doing? We're unfriending each other. We're not galvanizing.
Can I make a note? I don't mean to cut you off.
Of course.
So the best way to know if you're a white person and you're for the black people, you have to at least attend a black funeral.
I mean, I'm willing to make that the standard. You know, I'm not.
I think we should make that the standard.
I'm just saying that I want to be more responsible for how I communicate, and I don't want to needlessly offend people.
So you need to do is put on your profile, I have attended every black friend funeral.
I don't know what that's gonna do, but if my advice, I'm gonna do. All I'm saying is look,
them.
Know what everybody's experience is, but black people have been good to me.
Yeah,
black culture has been good to me. I've had people that didn't want to fuck with me just because I was white. I have black people that didn't want to put me on their basketball team even though they knew I was balling. They wanted to front on the fact that I freestyle for 2.5 hours straight and never repeat a line. There was certain black people.
You don't want to be the black guy that looks lame in front of the white guy. Like, trust me. Like, it is what it is.
Look. I feel like we are a human family. We're a universal culture. We are the original man's children. If we picked up on some of your shit, you shouldn't be upset about it. If you benefited from the fact that we figured out some shit that you didn't figure out, you shouldn't be upset about it. We're the human family. We need to enjoy it collectively together.
Yeah,
what
man.
I'm saying
Learn
is,
and teach.
as a European Jew that grew up around majority black people, majority black schools, majority black friendships, to this day, the only white person in my inner circle is Surreal, and Surreal is basically a black dude. Surreal does not fit the profile of a stereotypical, well, I think I'm prudently invested white person. He doesn't.
That's
he
racist.
Just doesn't.
Yeah.
And that's as white as I get. And what I'm saying is when I go, if I attend a funeral in which I'm the only white dude there, it doesn't matter to me. The point is that I'm a part of a culture in which I was accepted, I was invited, and which I'm beloved. And what I don't want to do is make problems for the black people that are more popular than me, that love me, that have to answer for me because I'm saying some shit that the Democratic Party has deemed non-black.
Listen, tell them to come see me. I hold the black card.
Of course you do. It's officially.
Tell them to come see me. I stand for you, brother.
Thank you, brother.
Anybody who got beef,
and you are the original Jew.
Man,
you wrote the Bible
right now.
Logan.
I speak for all the blackness. No beef over here.
Listen, I speak for European Jewness. Who's gonna tell us that we don't? But the point that I'm trying to make is that I want black people sincerely to look at the fact that there's a wedge being put in between us. And I want to point this out to you, hip hoppers. Our best shit, listen to me, please. The best shit from us has always been nerds and thugs. It's always been nerds and thugs. Do you understand? Q-Tip was a nerd. Fife was a thug. CL Smooth was a thug. Pete Rock was a nerd. Guru was a thug. Premier was a nerd. Do you understand? This is how we've moved forward. We haven't been divorced from one another. We understand that there's certain people that are out here in the streets, and that's why we have a soft spot in our hearts. Do you understand how this is being used against us? Every one of us in hip hop has known a thugged out dude that has a heart of gold. Yes, he pistol whipped somebody that owed his money, but he's always been nice to us. So we love that motherfucker. That's the reality of it. But what's happening is we're trying to make sense of all of these ideas culturally and politically, and there's a wedge, and it's strategically placed that's divorcing us from us. Slop Funk Dust, I'm not trying to undermine you. I'm not trying to point out the fact that maybe you don't have the same amount of information. I'm not trying to make you look stupid. I'm not trying to say that you're wrong. I'm trying to say that there's absolutely an agenda put in front of us as hip hoppers that wants us to go one way politically that may not actually solve the problems of the people that we say we love and we represent. There's a game being played. And the only way we're going to get to the heart of the matter is if we tell the truth to one another. And I've always come on this podcast, I've said some cringy shit. I've said some shit that I haven't articulated as well as I should have. But I've always engaged in this shit with Don, and he's the mastermind. I give him all the credit in the world. I've always tried to be sincere because I know there's some real deal shit that's affecting people's lives that we're not addressing effectively. We're not changing the condition of the hood. We're not changing the fact that kids are getting murdered over dumb shit, and they don't have the Malcolm X shit that we had as kids. that you could be a hip hopper and it was cool and you read fucking books. You read fucking books. You wanted to learn shit and figure shit out. And now we're being sold a culture that's devoid of that shit. That celebrates the fact that black men are being murdered by other black men and they're making murder jingles about it. And there is, in fact, there's black men making money from that. And there's new juice beverage men making money from that. And our conversation as it is centered around whether Kanye used the politically correct terms. And what I'm telling you is that shit is a distraction from the real shit that we should be talking about. We should be partnering with one another. We should be standing in solidarity. We should be putting our money and our energy up to making real deal change. And I'm telling you, what's preventing us from being able to do that is there are interests at work that understand that black people are the most imitated, influential, culturally relevant people that are determining where advertising and political culture is going. And what I'm saying is we as hip hoppers need to reclaim that and reappropriate it as we see fit in service of our interest. Because, and again, fill in the blank with whoever you want, the people that are running the show right now, they do not give a fuck. They don't care that Zion was a 1-year-old baby murdered in a fucking stroller. They don't give a fuck. They don't care if you Rogans keep killing other Rogans.
Play the Michael Jackson song, They Don't Care About Us.
And
don't believe me. Play it over and over.
And by they, I mean we.
Sticking up juice with the German Rugers, right? What did he have to edit? You can't say Jew me, kike me. You can't say that.
Right.
So why can Method Man not say sticking up Jews with German Rugers, but CeeLo can say, well, really, them crackers is saving us because of their evil. Them crackers, their skin is a curse. Why can CeeLo say that, but Method Man can't say as clearly a punchline, sticking up Jews with German Rugers, which again is a dope fucking line. It's fucking dope. If you a hip hopper,
it's not only dope,
ass shit. But
it's not only dope.
Say, I don't give a fuck about if you pregnant, give up the rings and the #1 mom pendant. It's intersectionality. It's feminism. It's political correctness. But whenever you're promoting black men murdering other black men, there is no fucking need to do any editing. That shit is getting on the record. But if you're like Nas on Carry On Tradition, you want to talk about who was robbing black people of their money while they were making murder jingles that promoted killing other black men, then you get censored. Why can I talk about Rogans killing Rogans unmitigated? But if I mention the juice, I'm going to get fucking censored? And you think we own this culture? You think we own hip-hop culture? You think black people are in charge of the message and the purpose and the animus behind everything we're doing? No. And we're going to go to war with each other when we want the same thing? We're gonna unfriend each other and no longer have an open discourse with each other because we disagree about whether Kanye is moving us in the right direction? Look, my brother, I love you. If Kanye is saying let's change the curriculum in Chicago so that the needs of the black kids that don't have fathers, that don't have guidance, that don't have an economic libido and don't have the confidence to go out here and invest in the market and become fucking millionaires like Kanye West did, you're telling me I can't go to these black kids and tell them America's not the most racist place on earth? America's the place where you could be richer than Masa Musa or whatever the fuck? I can't go and tell that black kid that? I can't give him hope because I'm a coon? I'm a coon if I give that black kid the blueprint on how to get money in this shit? Nah, man. Nah. That is not black people being in control of black culture. You're telling me I need to deprive black kids with a blueprint on how to amass wealth and empower themselves in service of what? the Democratic agenda. And if it was the Republicans, I would not give a fuck either. What I'm telling you is, fuck what Kanye is saying if he likes Trump or doesn't like Trump. That shit is irrelevant. What I'm telling you is, the shit that we're doing right now does not work. Black people are dying, and they are dying now at a much more significant rate than they were prior to George Floyd. So if George Floyd and Breonna Taylor was our eureka moment to solve shit, we fucked up. Because more black people are dying now. So I question whether the fact that I give a fuck about Breonna Taylor or George Floyd has anything to do with whether I give a fuck about the black community. As far as I'm concerned, George Floyd was a thug. He was not Malcolm X. Breonna Taylor was helping hide that fentanyl money. She was killing black people. She was not helping black people. So
allegedly.
No, not allegedly. She had the money. That is on the record. And I encourage anybody to look into that shit. They were monitoring Breonna Taylor and that fentanyl syndicate that might have possibly gotten that fentanyl over to Minnesota that killed George Floyd. They were absolutely stacking 15, 20 grand. Breonna Taylor was holding the money. She was working with drug dealers to help get fentanyl in the black community. And you come to me and say, that's my new Malcolm X? That's my new savior of the black community. And if I disagree, I'm a racist. I don't love black people. I don't care about the condition of the black people in America that are suffering the most, because I'm parsing out the facts and disagreeing with you that Breonna Taylor, that Jacob Blake, that George Floyd is not our best examples of intelligent black men and women in the community helping to solve problems. Who's setting that agenda? It's not black people. It's not black people. But if Kanye says, maybe it's Jewish people, the whole world shuts down, and that doesn't tell you that there's some fucked up shit going on? Abso-fucking-lutely. And listen, if you're enlightened, you already know all of this shit is bullshit. We are the fucking human family. Black people made white people. Black people made European Jews. And we figured out finance and spaceships, and we all get to enjoy it. But we're the same human family. But what the media is telling you is you have to have Marcus Garvey assessment about our situation, but you have to have Thurgood Marshall assessment about our activity. And you know what that means? Black people are stagnant with no solutions. They'll continue to die in the hood, and nobody will give a fuck, because somebody will use their culture to sell politicians and sell products. But whether or not their condition fundamentally changes, nobody, including all of these black activists.
You have to change that, Don.
God, like Patrice Cullors, they don't give a fuck if the condition of black people that are suffering the most in America fundamentally changes or not. So we as hip-hop culture, we have to have a conversation. Who's in charge of our energy? Because let me tell you, we have enough money, we have enough influence, we have enough resources that the world could fucking change tomorrow if we ever had solidarity with an agenda. Because it's going to include black people, it's going to include European Jews, it's going to include Puerto Ricans, it's going to include Mexicans, because hip-hop culture is the most influential culture on the face of the fucking earth. And at some point, we need to look at ourselves and ask ourselves, are we wielding this power responsibly and effectively? And do we fucking control it? And Kanye West said, we do not control it. So before you call him an anti-Semite, prove him wrong. Prove him wrong that some other group does not control the black voice. And let Michael Rappaport come on this podcast and give his assessment.
And Slot Man too. We want beef with Slot Man.
Well, I think the underlying idea, I think the foundational concept that nobody wants to talk about is a lot of this shit may be too far gone for any real logical explanations. Alex Jones said about the government a long time ago. I think it was in that movie Awaking Life, the little segment that he had in Awaking Life. He said, we are controlled by a group of organized psychopaths. And that's what he referred to the government as, organized psychopaths. And I think when people look into what's really happening in these communities, in these inner cities, the murder rate, the gang activity, the music that follows it all and encapsulates all of it, I think instead of, there was a time when people could look at the guys hanging out on the corner and all of the unemployment and the dilapidated society, the fucking decay and everything. And there was a through line from that place back into the redlining and all of the post-slavery conditions. But I think now it's at a point where people have started to really embrace the worst of the worst of the worst. And I think they might just be organized psychopaths that are beyond logic, beyond saving, beyond any of that shit. I think maybe the only possible way is, like we've been talking about, if these athletes and actors and the rappers who are successful that's not with that shit, if a lot of people weren't so enamored by those parts of the culture, feeling like they have to pay some type of homage to it, feeling like they have to allow that in just like everything else, then the solve would be for them to pull their resources and start removing people, like we've been saying, removing people from those environments. The younger the better. The kids who, before they grow up and start idolizing rapping lyrics about the murder that took place last week, and so I'm smoking on such and such pack because your friend died and then they killed my friend, so now I'm going to kill your cousin. And all this shit has trickled down to become normal in the consciousness of children. And when you get to that point, I mean, it's what can you write down on paper? You can't open a Boys and Girls Club no more and think that giving these kids something to do after school, to play after school, is going to mitigate what's happening with the gang activity. I think it's way past that. It's way past that. We said something similar about how, government officials and all that, they can't do shit with the cops no more. Because the cops have gotten to a point where if you punish them the wrong way, you might fuck around and get something might happen to you now. You tell a cop that you know your rights and you're not giving him ID, and 2 or 3 days later he's parked outside your house and shit because he took your fucking license plate number, and now the cop's stalking you to try to get a reason to either lock you up or tase you and shoot you. It's too far gone. What is a judge gonna do? Send a cop to jail for life, and then what happens to the judge? What is the not is definitely going to happen, but I could see where the mindset of how do you punish a wild fucking guard dog that'll chew a child up when you point your finger and make a noise? That wild dog will chew a child to pieces. How do you punish that dog? You can't roll up a newspaper and spank it on the nose. He'll fucking kill you. You have a very timid, walking on eggshells relationship with that dog because you know what it's capable of and you don't know what it'll take for it to turn on you. Organized psychopaths. These are not just people who missed a few opportunities when they were young, and maybe if they learned financial literacy they'd stop fucking slaughtering each other in record numbers. It's probably past that right now. I don't know what the answer is. I'm not saying fucking nuke Chicago, but I don't know what the answer is. I don't know how you reel that back. This is just what people are doing. When you can walk into when rappers are rapping about how you can get murdered at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles because so many people get murdered at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, like it's just regular. That location's not closed. People aren't boycotting it until, like, what can you do?
I have an answer.
What?
I think all of hip hop, every single one of them, since this is America, should try to make their own private prison. And that would answer everything.
Oh my God.
Dante's Inferno.
Right.
How is it?
Dante's Inferno
But
is the
but I'm saying if all these kids are going to prison, getting killed, and they're getting younger and younger, why not, as the conscious hip hop community, organizing together and build a private prison, since private prisons is a thing. And now, so you have control of the people of the inside the prison. You could change these young minds.
No, you're not.
I'm just saying.
You're not changing nobody's mind once they're in prison. It's a wrap.
No,
prison
what
is
I'm
college.
saying is, What I'm saying is, for some people, it's
yeah, prison is murder college.
Prison is criminal
this
college.
is where you
this
learn
is-
to
but
be.
this is-
This is where you get your education on being a more effective detriment to the community.
not necessarily.
That's the reality.
Not unless
Either
like,
that,
depending,
or you become a fucking fifi for everybody
if
else.
it's but listen, if it's a private prison, don't you allow who you let in? That's all I'm saying. So if non-violent crimes,
You
I
sign
don't know,
a
it's a private
contract with the
prison.
government of what you're willing to take in for the
Well,
year. You
if
sign
I-
a contract
listen,
with the government. This is
All I know
look.
is we could fix it that way, because you could still break up different areas.
We're being
I'm just
pitted
saying.
against
I'm
each
just
other. This is the problem with the solidarity of hip hop. We want the same shit. We understand black people in this country got a fucking raw deal. They started from a place that was unfair relative to how everybody else came here. They did not come of their own will. They were not allowed to be educated. They had to thrive under Jim Crow. It's not the same thing as every other racial group that tries to piggyback on the suffering of black people. Asian people do it, Latin people do it, and they pretend like their civil rights struggle is the same as black people. And it's not. Black people are a unique quantity in the story of America. And we can very much learn a specific lesson if we're willing to be honest about that status. And we can very much understand whether we're being effective or not if we're willing to be honest about what our program is going to be on behalf of the black culture in America. And the reality is all of the things being brought to the forefront are not fundamentally changing the condition of the black community in America that we say is suffering the most. And hip hop, as an influential voice, has the opportunity to bring more attention, more resources, more practical applications that are going to solve the problems of the black community than there's ever been before. And I have to raise my hand and ask questions when I look out and I see what we're told. Yo, that Gucci sweater look like a Sambo. Rogan, do I give a fuck? Who gives a fuck? That's not changing nothing.
Niggas still wear Gucci.
But when you start talking about what's really gonna change things, that's when they hate you. So my message is, Slop Funk Dust, I love you. I don't want to be with you. We want the same thing.
Come talk to us.
We're being forced to have this conversation. And listen, I'm gonna keep it 100% real. When I went to my brother Sion's funeral, I felt very sad, and I was confronted with the reality of these are people that I grew up with and that I love, that I've been ridiculed and made fun of because I consider them my brothers instead of people that share my genetic sequencing. And I have to be confronted with the reality that this is another brother that was lost because he has pain that was never dealt with. And that's the reality of most black people in the hood that are being confronted with that. There's unresolved pain. There's fucked up situations that are preventing you from being able to hone in on the real shit that's gonna fundamentally change your economic situation and change your situation overall. And we're being called racist because we're pointing out to the black community that we're being sold a bill of goods that's not interested in solving the problems of the black community. And now as hip hoppers, we have beef with one another. We don't have solidarity with one another because an institution or a political party has injected themselves into the equation and they don't give a fuck. But they're defining for us whether we're authentically black or not. This is causing a huge problem in our efficacy if we say as hip hoppers, we want to improve the conditions of the hood. And we have a situation wherein we look at the hood, we see the problems of the hood, and when we prescribe the solutions for the hood, we are told by, again, fill in the blank with whoever you want. I'm not calling out Kanye. I'm not calling anybody else. But we're being confronted with the reality that if you give black people the truth, if you eat sugar, you're going to have diabetes. If you beef over blocks that you don't own and murder one another, you're going to stifle your ability to be successful in this American situation. We are being told, we are being shamed into, we are being pressured into, as the hip hop community, taking positions which we know will not fundamentally improve the condition of the black community. And if we, like Kanye West, speak up and say, this isn't fixing us, we're a coon. We're a betrayer. We are not authentically black, when the reality is we're talking to our black people and saying, we are in the human family. If you eat sugar, you will get diabetes. And we're being told, if you tell black people that, you're a white supremacist. We're the racist. So we're being prevented from giving black people who are suffering in America the most, we're being prevented from giving them the tools which will improve their condition more than anything else. And I just do not think that black people would be the author of that situation. And because Kanye West spoke up and said, look, there's a lot of European Jews making money off our making money off of our murder jingles. Yeah, we're promoting killing other Rogans. Yeah, that's true. It's swag. It's cool. We making songs about killing other Rogans. We talk about the black man as God. We murdered God on 15 out of the 16 tracks on our album. But we murdered God. But we're being told that we can't intervene to say, look, the culture that you're being allowed to promote is destructive to black people. It's destroying black people. It's killing the libido, the economic libido of black people. Because when you tell them Ethiopians coming here making more money, people from Ghana are coming here making more money, people coming from India making more money. When you tell them, look, this white supremacist plot isn't so effective that it's preventing Ethiopians, Nigerians, and Indians from coming here and getting money. They're coming here and getting money. So hip hoppers are being
too.
That's because, according to Tariq Nasheed, the Allfather, that's because the system of white supremacy doesn't mind allowing any other black people across the planet from becoming empowered, as long as black Americans don't. So they will allow Nigerians and everybody else. They can all do whatever they want. They can get bank loans, all of that, but not American Negroes, because they hate us so much.
But my brother whom I love, how do you explain Kanye West getting to the point where he's worth $11 billion?
Because he's already a coon. So you got to either be African, a non-American black, or an American coon, and then it'll allow you to get rid. It seems like they don't hate a lot of black people when you add those numbers up. It seems so anybody else from anywhere in the world can do it, and if you're a coon in America, you can do it. But if you're just a regular, average American black person, then that's when the real deep-seated genetic hatred comes in.
There's powers in force in America, whether you call them Jewish, whether you call them white, whether you call them the media, whether you call them elite. I'm not going to judge or discredit anybody for framing it in the incorrect way. I want you to be honest and say what you really think. But there's forces in place, it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, want to be the voice of black pain and don't care whether or not that they use that influence to improve the condition of black people in America. And I don't care what race or ethnicity or religion that you're from. If you believe in righteousness, you know and understand that black people got a raw deal in America. Black people have a unique set of problems that are in the hood. Again, I'm not talking about Baldwin Hills. I'm not talking about black people in the middle class. I'm talking about the black people that we use as a political football to get votes. Those people are suffering. And you don't have to look like them. You don't have to share their genetic sequencing to say proudly, look, I want to improve the condition of those people. And if you're being honest about the situation, there are forces in place that want to use the creativity of black people to sell politicians and to sell products, but do not care if in being effective in selling products and in selling politicians cultivates a culture which destines, listen to me, it destines black people to never improve their condition. And because Kanye brought up this issue, we as hip hoppers need to really check ourselves and say, are we truly in control of our culture? And if we are we promoting a culture and a set of values that is geared towards improving the condition of the black people in America that are suffering the most? And if it takes Kanye West with all his pettiness, I'm not promoting Kanye West. I've told you, I think he only cares about his family, his happiness, and his situation. And because that's been deprived of him, now he wants to take the Marcus Garvey position. Now he wants to take the Louis Farrakhan position. I'm not telling you that he needs to be his leader, that he needs to be your leader. But what I'm telling you is he's pointing out a reality in America where, listen to me, please listen to me. We're comfortable with selling products and selling politicians with a culture that destines black people in the hood to never have happiness, to never have forward progress. And if you say you care about the black condition in people like Slop Funk Dust, like Candace Owens, like Larry Elder, like, what's that
All
dude?
Father.
Whoever you want to reference, right? We care about black people. We care about the black people in America. If you say you really care, can we just be honest with one another and say the culture that we're being sold as authentic blackness is destining black people to never make progress? And the most righteous thing you can do as a cis white male, the most righteous thing you can do as a European Jew, is to say these values, these day-to-day practices will improve the condition of the black community. Because fuck whatever they're selling you. There are black mothers that are going to their jobs every day and praying for their black children that are being lost to the street. They're working every day to improve the condition, and they're heartbroken. They see their children being buried at alarming rates. And they're doing whatever they can to improve the quality and condition of their people. And there's corporations, and there's podcasts, and there's media personalities that say that they care, that are having podcasts and having conversations about these things, that aren't really addressing the reality of what black men are going through in these certain pockets of the country where they're suffering the most. And so I think as hip hoppers, we need to say, fuck the Democratic Party, fuck the Republican Party. Let's just be honest. We're doing shit. We're promoting shit that's contributing to the destruction of black lives. And let's not put it all on the white man. Let's not put it all on the system. Let's be realistic and honest and say we have made billions off of marketing the black male identity as a drug dealer and as a violent individual. And when we get confronted with the reality that police are out here looking to arrest us and put us in prison because we're selling drugs and destroying our best friend's mother, destroying our community, let's be honest about the fact that we're being reined in by systems we don't agree with. But the reality is if we checked ourselves, if we took care of this ourselves, there would be no other government. There would be no other race. There would be no other program reining us in because we already did it ourselves. We need to fix our shit. And the only way we're going to fix our shit is by stop hating each other based on these political parameters that have been put in front of us, but really being honest with one another with what the situation is that's in front of us and confronting it and fixing it. That's our responsibility. Do you understand? That's Gangstar's responsibility. That's NWA's responsibility. That's Mos Def's responsibility. We're marketing the black man for money as a drug dealing degenerate. We've made money off of that.
The problem
Are we giving that money back?
You can't stop it from the outside if the thing you're labeling accepts the label. Because now you're getting into the consent consciousness. If those people were, as a collective, if there was actually a black community that you could go to and talk to and it had a voice, instead of just labeling a bunch of people that happen to similarly, look the same a little bit and calling that a community, if there were people you could actually go talk to and they all said, nah, we don't like this thing you're doing. There's a very small percentage of us who partake in that lifestyle. Those are the criminals. We're working to get them out of our own communities. So I don't think it's cool that you grab that small sample size and then pretend that's all of us. But you can't, because the basketball players, the actors, the musicians, anybody who wants to consider themselves part of the black community, part of the black experience, they try to share in whatever. I'm not saying the basketball players want to be criminals, but they definitely want to look like the criminals. They want to get all the jailhouse tattoos. They want to wear all the jewelry, pants sagging, and when they're not on the clock playing ball, they throw in $10,000 at the strip club and pouring liquor for my niggas who ain't here. This is what they're doing. They're pretending to be the people that they claim is a misrepresentation. So every time you get them an opportunity to present themselves, that's what they do. But if you go left, you're a coon. If you say, nah, I don't talk like that, I actually pronounce my words properly. Oh, you talk white. Oh, I'm not here. I've never been to jail. Oh, that's because you're a pussy. So the people are protecting the thing that's destroying them the most. So you can't go and try and pry it out of their hands for their own good. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? They'll battle you down to the ground and beat you to death for trying to take away the poison from them.
But my brother, isn't that our issue as hip hoppers to correct?
I think it's bigger than hip hop. It's bigger than hip hop because hip hop has never really drawn a line in the sand. Hip hop has consisted of everybody who wanted to take part in it. Whether you are some lyrical spiritual alchemist that wants to change people's minds through rhyme, or if you're, don't you know my nigga gotta kidnap kids, fuck them in their ass and throw them over the bridge.
Over the bridge, yeah.
We ain't have nothing to say about that. We had nothing to say about that. So we hypocrites to be like, oh, hip hop don't give a fuck. It's always been a machine.
It doesn't. Yeah.
It's always been a machine. It's an inanimate object. That's what it is. And I love that Mos Def was talking about it. He said, you want to know what's going on with hip-hop? Find out what's going on with us. He said, people talk about hip-hop like it's some giant living in the hills. If we fucked up, hip-hop going to be fucked up. So it's only a reflection of what's actually going on in the communities. We can't pry this thing out of their hands. Even if you sitting in the corner and they cutting themselves with a straight razor, you're the beast, you're the oppressor if you wrestle the straight razor out of their hands. That's the consciousness of the people who are cutting themselves.
And listen, the reason why I will always back you and devote my energy and my finances in support of your agenda, you are someone who has, and listen, if you think my nerd thug paradigm is incorrect, Your DJ was an electromagnetic engineer.
No debate from me. You will get no, and that's the homie, right? You will get no debate from me. That's exactly how this shit.
We need both.
Absolutely.
Because the reality is black people in the hood control the reality of the streets. If your righteousness and you're doing right and you're doing things properly with some sort of an agenda to progress the condition of black people, then that's what it is. But we're looking at it as we're in the context of a debate where we're being told that Kanye West is not authentically black. And he's not authentically black because he's questioning whether European Jews are profiting off the fact that black people in America are in a fucked up condition.
Absolutely.
And I think any honest actor who's going to engage in that equation is going to have to conclude the same thing, that we have a very fucked up situation that we're dealing with. We're promoting black culture as drug dealing, thugged out. That's the reality. Now, whether you want to debate, hey, there was no other choice, there was no other option, they had to do that, that's fine. That's a different debate. But if we're saying, what are we putting black people out in the mainstream as? At some point, we have to start challenging and asking for accountability of Offset, of the Migos, right? We're asking, why are we continually within hip hop putting black men in a position to get paid by reinforcing the narrative that black men are willing to sell drugs and kill other Rogans indiscriminately if it's gonna improve their condition? I just don't believe that if black people were in control of their own culture in America, that they would put that foot first forward.
Right.
And if they would, I'm wrong, and I'm willing to be wrong.
No, I agree.
So
if they actually were in control, it'd be different.
So we all agree, Jordan Peele's Note movie. This is what it really meant.
Yeah, this was the This is what he was talking about.
I love Note. Can I tell you that I love Note?
This is what it really meant.
I just want to, before we move into that, I just want to, I agree with pretty much everything you were saying, but I do understand that, like we said, black people don't own blackness. That's just a fact. So
I do.
It's a fact.
I own it. I own it.
If there was more ownership, maybe they wouldn't put that foot forward. But I also see a lot of protecting of the destructive shit all across the board. It's not just rappers and drug dealers.
There's a lot of
fucking comedians.
Or you have rapists,
lawyers,
and they're like, "Oh, we gotta protect them. He raped."
No, yeah, it's
women.
lawyers, bro. There's black lawyers who are on YouTube who know the law, and they go to court, they do their business, and then they get on YouTube and be like, "All right, don't make me have to pull my nigga side out." That's just right. It's something that they're proud of. They want to, they can't let it go. It's fucking, like we said before, it's chitlins. It's chitlins. It's something that was given to you under the worst conditions. And yes, I respect the fact that you were able to make something out of nothing. That's literal alchemy. I love you for that.
Yeah, bro.
But it's time to throw that shit in the garbage now. You don't have to eat chitlins anymore. You proved that you could practice alchemy, and you proved that you could survive the worst conditions ever. But I think we can throw them in the garbage now. We can stop calling each other nigga now. We can stop doing this goofy bullshit. We can get past that. But I want to put two things up for consideration. Two things that I think a majority of this quote-unquote community doesn't seem to understand. And these two things are very much connected. And one is the spook who sat by the door. I think anybody, it's a classic. This is something that...
Great movie.
Great movie.
I was born black, I would die black.
Probably because I'm black.
Haven't read the book, watch the movie.
Both of them. But I think that's a powerful concept. And right next to that, what we need to talk about is esoteric partitioning. Everything ain't for everybody. There are people who will celebrate your results, but those same people would have been detrimental to the process if they were privy to it. There's people who will listen to your beat and be like, yo, son, this shit is fire. But if they were over your shoulder during the production process, nah, them drums too loud. I don't like that sound. No, it should be this key instead of that. They would have fucked up the whole thing and possibly stopped you from creating the beat that they would have loved at the end. And you can use that for damn near anything, especially with nation building. There are people who would celebrate your result, but they would have been detrimental to the process. So the spook who sat by the door shows you where somebody can sit down and keep their mouth shut and get all the information, all the access to the resources, the knowledge, and then they could bring that back to the people who can use it the best and position them to be able to make some real concrete changes in their lives. But the other people who saw him sitting there quiet getting the information called him a coon, they called him a sucker, they made fun of him, they fucked off while he was working. And if people understood this, what you could do is that even if you do think Terry Crews is a coon, if you think he's a coon, how about you sit back, shut your fucking mouth, let the man amass millions of dollars, and see if he don't do some undercover shit that nobody knows about that's going to save lives. Why are you blowing the whistle on him before you even know what he's doing? You know when not to blow. You know how I know you know when not to blow the whistle? I was riding a bike one time as a teenager down the street, and I had headphones on. So I couldn't hear that there was a car behind me trying to get around me because I was riding in the street like a goofball. So as I was kind of swaying in the street, I went to one side. They tried to kind of go around me and speed past me. I didn't realize they were coming, and I swayed back the other way. The car hit me, knocked me off the bike. Was not a big deal. I wasn't injured. I didn't feel much pain. I was mostly just surprised that this car popped out of nowhere. My headphones come off. I'm getting up off the ground, brushing myself off. And as I'm waving, I'm like, they're apologetic in the car, like, sorry, we was trying to get around you. And I'm like, I was riding in the street like a dick. My bad. I took responsibility. My uncle was running down the street full speed from my grandmother's house, screaming, stay on the ground. Don't get up. He was trying to get a lawsuit because he saw what happened. He wasn't worried about whether or not I was hurt. He was yelling, stay on the ground.
I picture that whole event right now.
That's real shit. I've seen video on the internet of people who got in car accidents, and other people, another dude rode up on a bike like, yo, that dude just did a hit and run on you, right? I was in the car with you. He put on his seatbelt and started saying his neck hurt.
Bro,
because
my first accident,
a lick, an availability for a lick. That's all I'm saying.
My first accident, it was in the hood, bro. I'm not gonna say what happened, but I hit the back of the car, nothing crazy. And then the husband screams out the house, I heard a boom and I had a dream. I'm like, what? Like the whole time. I had a dream. Shit, something's gonna happen. I'm like, okay.
They know when not to blow the whistle. So all I'm saying, what if you allow this man to get his billions and see what he does with it? Like if you always blowing the whistle on the people who get into the resources before you know what's going on, that's like pointing the finger at the spook who sat by the door, or at least a potential
right. Don't call him out. Let him do his thing.
Let him do his thing. Because that's what he's got to get to. Let's wait and see. We already know what a lot of these basketball players are doing. They blowing $50,000 at the strip club, but that's not enough. That's not enough to get you scrutinized by the quote unquote community. But if you organize a sex party and you're going to go out on a yacht and you and your other athlete friends are going to take full sexual advantage of some women who are probably traumatized and selling their body because or who knows, we're not going to get into that. But if you choose for those women y'all going to take out on the boat and Sodom and Gomorrah they ass for 5 hours, if all those women are white, that's enough to get you scrutinized by the community. But not opening schools, not doing any of the important shit that could actually save people's lives, that's fine. That's fine. Go buy another $85,000 watch from Jacobs and get him to bezel it out with diamonds so you can put $150,000 worth of diamonds in it and now it's actually worthless. Yep. Keep doing that. But don't take out a boat full of white women so you can Sodom and Gomorrah them for 5 hours. That's where we draw the line. Now you disrespecting the black community. It's fucking stupid. It's stupid and it's absurd and not in the good way. It's goofy as fuck. And everybody is participating in their own destruction. And when you say something about it, you're the enemy.
You're the coon.
You're the enemy. Willie D said, we don't need to find rapists. We don't need to find people who are selling so much crack and busting so much guns in the neighborhood that your grandmother's scared to walk out of the house and go to the corner store. No, don't worry about them. We need to kill Don Lemon. That's who we need to go after. The coons need bullets. Okay, all right, fine. I guess if that's where you want to go with that. If I could, say you're.
Well, who did Don Lemon pop on the block?
No, it doesn't matter. He's gay, and I don't like his opinion. So he's the biggest threat to the black quote-unquote community. Not the people who are grabbing women and dragging them in alleyways. Because he's black. He's black under that hoodie. He's black. But we don't need to put out an APB to find him. We don't need to call together all the Negro forces in the community to track this motherfucker down and curb stomp him so the community knows how we deal with rapists. That's not important. That's not important. So the crack dealers, that's not important. In fact, we're going to put the spotlight on them every time we make a video. We're going to point all the guns. We're going to show the birds and the bricks stacked up with the triple beam, son, the fish scale, you know what I mean? You know what fish scale is, but you don't know what fucking GMOs are. It's goofy. But you're not going to LLC yourself out of white supremacy. So it doesn't matter if you attack all of that shit that's destroying us. None of that's going to help until we get reparations and get more black people in office. We need more black people in position. Right, okay, I got you. Because black people are uncorruptible.
Reinforcing the same system that has ensured that black people don't progress.
Black people are uncorruptible, clearly. Because if we get more black people in office, the world changes, right? What about the black people who are in office now? Oh, they coons. Okay, I got you. Perfect. I got you. So we're just on a wheel of repeating nonsense.
But you know what it is that we're being forced to accept as hip hoppers that the authentic blackness, the authentic black paradigm and authentic black agenda, that if we really love black people and we really want to improve the condition of the black people that are suffering in America, we have to subscribe to an agenda that has absolutely no blueprint for success.
Right.
And if you say that that's what we have to do, you're dooming black progress.
The blueprint for success is white supremacy. We've already decided that. We've already decided that logic is white supremacy. 2 + 2 is 4 is white supremacy. Actually pronouncing words fully and abandoning your like not knowing how to code switch.
I'm cool with that if you're gonna learn Swahili.
No,
I'm cool with that. If you're gonna speak in a black language instead, I'm cool with that. But if you're gonna insist on speaking in a European language, then yeah, you should figure it out. You should figure out what's effective and legitimate if you're going to try to succeed in that vein. But the problem is, and again, it's the disposition is Marcus Garvey. White people are never going to accept us. We need to escape. But the program is, I'm not going to do anything to get out of here. Yeah, and if you're saying that that's what authentic blackness is, you are dooming. Please, I'm saying, as a person that loves you, you are dooming black people to never make progress in America.
So we can agree. Daniel Kaluuya deserves an Emmy for Nope.
100%.
Oh, Daniel who?
Kaluuya.
Is that the dude that was in Nope?
Yeah.
Yes.
Listen, that's a great movie. Am I the only person that sees that the UFO was white supremacy? Am I alone in that?
It was the white gaze.
Listen, that's what I saw when I watched that movie. And listen, Jordan Peele grew up white. He got a white wife. He loves whiteness. But when he tries to present it to us, the UFO was white supremacy. It was racism that nobody ever seen.
I didn't know all that about Jordan Peele, but he has blackness down to him.
I love him, bro.
When it comes to art and black people, he does it great. So I guess you just have to be buried with white people and have white family.
According to Aries Spears, he don't smell like a real nigga.
Yeah, but Aries Spears also said he regretted saying that because he missed out on the check. So fuck all that.
Exactly. That's why he regretted it, because he missed out on the check.
But why are we forcing black people to authenticate their blackness by destroying the opportunities of other black people? Can we just agree as a culture of hip hop that recognizes the genius of the black intellect in making paid in full? Can we just acknowledge that if we demand that authentic blackness is depriving black people of credit for their cultural and entrepreneurial genius, can we just agree that that's detrimental? Because when I saw Nope, I was like, yo, that alien, like, listen, that, and I could be wrong, but this is just my interpretation. That's white supremacy. They're saying, like, when you see racism, racism isn't real. Racism is not a thing. That's not a thing. You're just imagining it. It's just like a UFO or an
But
alien.
it only attacks you when you see it, though.
Right.
Well, and also,
right, and it killed his father.
And
it killed
also,
his father, but it wasn't real.
Also, racism, the racism that you think you're engaging with, you see it as a vehicle. You see it as something that people get in and use to control and move from place to place and gain ground. But in actuality, it's a beast in and of itself. It's not a vehicle. It's an actual beast in and of itself, and it's indiscriminate.
And nobody believes that exists.
Right.
And it could transform.
Man, listen. That
Shapes.
I love what the guy does. I love this movie just as much as I love all of his shit, and it's always multi-dimensional. It's always a lot of points going on. But the fact that this thing, the main trigger for this thing was for you to look at it in a world that we live in right now, where people can't stop looking at everything, where people would rather videotape you in a burning car than help pull you out of it, just in case they might get some views. You might go viral. It's all about that. It's all about the spectacle. I think that was the biggest idea. Even
I hate niggas who do that shit with a passion, bro.
That
shit's so corny, man. I used to hang out with an idiot like that. Every time like something, like we'd be out in the hood, and every time something happened, pull out the phone. I'm like, nigga, like, why are you pulling out the phone? Like, this is stupid. I hate that with a passion. I hate it with a passion. Because what is it? You'll pull out the phone, and then when the gun comes out, everybody's running.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's how you're supposed to end those videos. That's how those videos end. Everybody runs, but you got to have the phone out. You know, that's the full. It's like like watching a found footage movie. You feel like
all y'all niggas with the cameras out, but no one's calling the police. Fuck with that.
Nah, who call? No, only coons call the cops.
I'm calling. I don't give a fuck.
Only coons call the cops. We proved, Vlad has proved this several times. So if there was a serial killer who lived next door to you, you wouldn't call the police? No, I just move.
Coons call the cops. Coon calls the cops, but real niggas telling themselves, fuck out of here. Fuck out of here.
Yeah, coons call the cops, but real niggas make videos naming all the people they shot.
Like, fuck out of here.
All right,
See what I'm saying? It's a wheel of absurdity. Listen, bro.
I hold the blackness. Fuck out of here with that shit.
It's a wheel of absurdity. None of it makes any sense. And eventually people are going to have to accept the fact that colors don't give you enough information. And they never will. There's nothing you're ever going to be able to do to the concept of blackness to where just using the word black gives me or anybody any comfort.
Biggity black now. I'm black.
It gives me no comfort. It's like, okay, I'm in a room, it's completely dark, and there's another person in the room with you, and they can do anything they want. Oh my God, what's going to happen in this room? Don't worry, it's a black person in the room. Oh,
I remember when Juneteenth,
I'm glad he's black. That means I'm safe.
When Juneteenth came out, I was in Atlanta, and they was like, hey, it's Juneteenth. Raise your hand. I'm like, this is cringy as fuck.
Fuck about none of that shit, bro.
I'm like, fuck out of here.
I don't give a fuck about Juneteenth. I don't give a fuck about Kwanzaa.
Y'all need it.
I don't give a fuck about none of that
I don't
shit,
give a fuck about none of that shit. Like, I don't.
Now, I won't piss on your parade. Like, if I see you celebrating Kwanzaa and you out and all you and your kids are wearing dashikis and shit.
I hate that.
And they're like,
I hate dashikis, by the way.
I
hate dashikis with a passion. I hate them.
If you out with your family and you see me and you raise the fist and you're like, emoji, brother, I'll be like, peace, fam, and I'll keep walking. Man. I won't piss on your parade.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie. Because I cut my dreads, I still grow my hair, but I'm not doing dreads anymore. But when I cut the dreads and I had dreads, I noticed a significant difference of like how I lost an extra layer of blackness.
Yeah, you lose black points for sure. Even from white people. White people take black points from you.
Yeah. Black people like
I see those Bohemian whites all the time.
My family's super Haitian, so it's like, you can't have the dreads, and I'm like, white people are the main ones touching them, talking about these look wonderful. How long did I grow them? Whatever. So I'm like, fuck out of here with all this. But yeah, when I cut this shit off, I'm not gonna lie though. When I cut this shit off and I'm walking around, seeing the dreadheads, I'm like, I felt a little bit of sadness in my heart.
He was out of the club. You're not part of it.
I was out of the club. It was weird. It was like a weird thing. Like it was a weird experience.
Yeah.
But like, I still grow my hair. I'm just not doing it that way.
I love it. Yeah. I absolutely love it because now it's like there's doors you can't see behind. There's less assumptions, or people make different assumptions about you.
It made me more relaxed. As far as, especially like for a job interview, it made me more relaxed. And it also made me like see people for what they are, because I've had people like, you gotta cut your hair to get a promotion. I'm like, I don't give a fuck about a promotion. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you have to perform an act of contrition. You gotta submit a pound of flesh if you want to be let through the next gateway.
I'm here for the checks, nigga. I'm supposed to be here.
The checks get bigger when you cut your hair and start dating Sally. Apparently, that's what they say. Good. If you date Sally and you cut your hair and you come to the country club on weekends, you know what I'm saying, and you laugh at Negro jokes, they're like, Negroes love that fried chicken. And you're like, no, it's true, we do. I'm sorry, we just can't help it. That's the guy who gets the promotion. That's the guy who makes partner and VP. And that could be the spook who sat by the door. So mind your fucking business. Let him make partner. Facts. And then at the end of the year, when it's time to balance the fiscal budget, he says, I'm sorry, Mortimer, but we voted you out.
But that's why they don't want me in charge, man. I'll hood that shit out, bro, for real. Exactly. But I can't be in charge.
We can't do that. Fuck the hood, bro. We gotta let that shit go. Because all that is dilapidation. That's what we're defending. And again, this is another word that's coded to me like it's supposed to mean something good. Like, the hood. That's where people look out for each other. You're a fucking liar. That's where you can get it. That's where you get your car washed and a TV for like $40. That's because
they look out for each other if you're part of that tribe.
That's because they stole a TV from somebody and he's a crackhead. So all he wants is $40 to fucking replace your entire engine. Yeah, that's why you're exploiting this man and his addiction. Let's stop lying about what this shit is. The food is cheap because it's garbage. There's nothing good about that description. We got to let that shit go. Who else defends ghettos?
If you're not growing your own farm and you don't own that land, fuck out of here.
Who else on the planet defends their ghettos? Like, I just don't feel comfortable if I don't smell piss in the stairways. Is it really? Is that
when I first went to New York, that's all I thought New York was rats and piss. Like, I love New York and I love the people. But like when I went down to like the certain boroughs and stuff, like, this is just like rats and piss.
Yeah,
this is ridiculous.
Yeah, and you're supposed to grow to love that. You're supposed to defend that. When gentrification comes and the place that was fucking running numbers,
the blackest of the black,
now it's an artisanal mayonnaise shop. You mad?
Yep.
When people used to get stabbed in the middle of the night and now there's a white woman jogging around because it's safe, you mad?
They saw the appreciation of what they could have done with their neighborhood instead of y'all over here selling crack and stabbing.
That's just holding up a mirror. Oh, well, you couldn't have done it because they would have never sold those places to black people, and because you can't make a blind trust. Like, you can't create a trust. You can't pool your money together and create a trust and communicate with people through wire transfers and shit like that. And then once they sell us the properties, like, ha, surprise, we niggas. You can't do that. Like, nobody will fall for that, apparently, because you got to walk in there. You got to get a level 2 dread to walk in there with his long locks and his suit on and be like, yes, I want to purchase a brownstone. And they say, get the fuck out of here, darky. Apparently that's what's happening. You can't buy the land. You don't have no access to it. There's nothing you can do. Only white folks can buy it and flip it and turn it in and fuck all the prices up.
Just hire white folk to buy it for you.
Now we can't get a $2 chopped cheese no more. Now all the food costs more. Like, that's the complaints. Those are the complaints. The ghetto's gone. It's a mentality that people are going to have to evolve past eventually. But that's why we need compounds. Because you can't talk this shit to people who are in that life. The only thing you can do is lead by example. You create a place, you bring people there, you install whatever curriculum you think works, whether that's talking about we was kings and we used to be the slave owners to white people, and now
white people don't care when we do that.
I don't really think they do. They seem to
They let old boy build a pyramid in Atlanta.
Yeah,
and Atlanta was the first city was the last city to fall.
Once you start playing crazy with kids, like that's the line drawn. That's when you're gonna burn your whole shit down. And
that's when white people hate everybody. That's when white people hate everybody. Is what kids are involved. That's the craziest thing.
Allegedly.
Well, yeah.
That's up to them. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of people do it. They keep their mouth shut and they do it. Black Hammer could have done it. But look what happened. Surprise, surprise. Building a compound on white supremacy, on the hatred of white supremacy, is probably not a good foundational element to build an intentional community. But if you think it is, keep going for it. Buy some land and build it, and your foundational principle is we hate white people, and see how it goes. See how it goes. If you think the problem is with heterosexuality, build an all-gay compound and see how it goes. Just see what happens if you improve yourselves and improve your financial situation, your spiritual and psychological situation. If it works, it works. I'm never going to complain about how you organize your intentional community. I will never have anything to say about it. Even if you become a leper colony in 10 years. I'm not going to say, ha ha, I told you so. I'm not going to mention it at all because I'm going to be too focused on how we organize our intentional community. That's why this shit is so important. That's why we need it. You cannot go to a hood in California and be like, hey, brother, I think we should stop. You're shot already.
Oh, son, wrong hat, wrong shoes.
You already got shot. Now, when we watch the movies, the after-school specials, they want to show you the pimps on one side of the street and the black Muslims on the other side of the street. Look, brother, all we need you to do is leave the park alone. Give the children someplace to play. And the pimps be like, all right, Muslims, we'll let you get away with it this time, but don't bring your ass across 67th Street. And they shake hands. That's not how this shit works. That's not how this shit works. The black Muslims get shot or the pimps get beat up in the middle of the night with baseball bats. Somebody's going to have to take it to the next level to reclaim their space. There's no camaraderie here. There's no bipartisanship here. You get murdered. But if you go buy 40 acres, you can do whatever you want with it. You can start a fresh air program and bring the kids from the hood over here and let them live and farm and do some different shit if you think that would help. Or you just let them read Marcus Garvey books and Malcolm X books or whatever you think would help. But it's very unlikely that you're going to be able to do anything evolutionary, impactful by going into the hood, into those spaces. They're already indoctrinated by the time they're 10 years old. They've already been indoctrinated to protect everything that's going to destroy them by the time they're 10 years old. The kid who has the potential to go to school and be a doctor, he's a sucker. He's a sucker before he gets to high school. And who is he watching impregnate all the teenage girls? The drug dealers, the knuckleheads, the athletes, the basketball players.
Yeah,
that's who's going to get it all.
That's the nigga putting the numbers in the most.
Right.
When every time you put that job application, you put African American, they're the ones putting the numbers up.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap. It's not going to work. Divest. You have to divest from that idea. I mean, not have to. You could do whatever you want. But I think people who are serious about making change, you got to divest from that idea. It's easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. These people, I know, what do you mean these people? But they're beyond repair. They're beyond repair. That idea has metastasized into so many sectors of quote unquote blackness. Find me a sector of blackness that doesn't inherently fucking protect and perpetuate the criminality, whether it's in the music or anything like that. It doesn't. They're all going to do it. They're all going to do it. If you have to be black adjacent. Because you have to be black adjacent. You can't be two guys talking about finances and we're going to teach people how to invest. We're going to teach them to get their money up. You can't totally go left and be like, yeah, we're just talking about numbers and graphs and financial patterns that happens over years. No, you have to say, if you bust down a brick, then you could cook it up and flip it. And that's what we're doing with stocks. Get the fuck out of here, bro. Who are you talking to? Who are you talking to? Why do we need to use the drug dealer language to connect? That's just as bad as no vote and no vucking. This is what you think. This is the language you think black people.
But they're still not teaching anything because the information that they're gaining and learning about the stocks is not the same information they got from dope dealing. Like you learn these people from like some most likely white people who went to school. So it's like, how are we playing ourselves like
black terms? You got to talk about taking over blocks. You got to be like, and buying. If you buy more than 51% of the stock, that's like taking over the block. It's goofy shit, bro. But that's
show me the numbers. That's all I want.
Let them have it. I'm just saying. I think there's a better way to approach it, and you got to lead by example. So it's not really about me scrutinizing what they're doing. It's about me building the alternative.
Yeah,
and I
man,
accept
so
that
much
responsibility.
So much that we got out of this movie. Nope. So much.
No, yeah, I think people should watch it again with this in mind. Just when you go next time you watch Nope, right before the movie starts, say to yourself, "The spaceship is white supremacy," and just see how you make it through the movie with that as a predetermined concept.
I think so.
Nah, I love it, dude. I love it. It's real shit. This is Injustice Superman Kanye. If anybody knows the Injustice storyline, how Superman went back because he was sick of everybody's bullshit. He was like, you know what, fuck that. I'm about to be a dictator and I'm gonna start killing the bad guys. I know we said we wasn't gonna kill. We were gonna talk them down and be like,
fuck
look,
that, I'm Superman.
He's like, I'm Superman. I'll fucking rip your head off at the speed of light. I don't give a fuck no more. And whose head is he ripping off? War criminals, killers, rapists, repeat criminals who Batman will catch you and throw your ass to Arkham Asylum so you could break out and kill 50 more people next year.
The boys does a good job of something like that.
Right, yeah, just kill these motherfuckers, bro. What are we doing? Why are we playing? I'm not saying you got to kill the drug dealers in them. I'm just saying divest on a psychological level. Stop listening to the music that promotes it. Stop fucking buying into the fashion brands and fashion sense.
And that's the pieces.
Shit.
That's the pieces that I liked about Umar, because he broke that down to like why we're failing and why we need to be doing better and how we could do better.
Yeah,
that's the only little
pieces.
piece.
There's always good
you know what
pieces.
I'm saying?
That's one of the most powerful things you can learn as an adult. Edifying yourself and being able to absorb information is that if you can only accept things in their entirety, you're doomed. You're fucked. Completely fucked. If you can't dissect the parts you don't want and keep the shit that's beneficial, I don't know what to tell you. But that you have to be able to do that. I have to be able to listen to something that Umar says that's objectively good and beneficial and be like, dope, we're going to implement this on the compound. But then when he says, and you shouldn't marry outside of your race, I can just ball that up and throw it in the garbage. I'll just ball that part up and throw it in the garbage. And I'm not going to debate him about it. I'm not going to get into no long-ass, drawn-out conversation. Actually, Umar, white women are the best. I'm not doing that. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying, just like when I'm listening to Kanye talk, some shit he's going to say, I'm going to be like, I know exactly where he's coming from. This is intelligent. Other shit he's going to say, I don't know about that. I don't know if promoting Lizzo on TV is demonic. I don't know if I'm ready to accept that this is. I don't know if I'm ready to accept the word demonic in that description, especially coming from I'm a sick fuck. I like a quick fuck guy. I don't know if I want to hear you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not on it like that. But I'm not going to completely dispose of your entire message because I disagree with a couple pieces. You got to be able to slice this shit up. Eat the meat, throw away the bones. You know what I'm saying? Pause. But that's the way you got to be able to do this shit. If you can't do that, you're going to starve to death out here. You're going to be emaciated in a cave talking shit about aliens and conspiracy theories because there ain't going to be nothing else left for you. So basically, the takeaway from this episode is we need compounds immediately. We need intentional community immediately. We need
rewatch Nope.
Rebuilding efforts immediately, and not rebuilding efforts in the places that's doing the most damage. Be willing to pool your resources with other people. Find out who got some money. A lot of y'all seem to be flipping shit and, making $100,000 a month on drop shipping and all this kind of shit. A lot of people doing that right now. If you can't take some of that bread and buy some of the cheap ass land in middle America or on the outskirts of a major city, at least go out into the county and get some acres where the farm's at and shit like that and start building your own shit. Prove to us that they're going to do Rosewood. Prove to us that they're going to destroy a black town by dropping bombs on it because they don't like the way y'all are financially sound and raising your children without fucking traumatic generational trauma and abuse. Prove it. I want to see them do it now, today. With all the media we have, with all the TikToks and Instagrams and YouTube Live, I want to see them do it today and what the repercussions of that would be. But instead of giving up and saying that it can't be done, move in that direction. That's just a suggestion. I don't know. Do what you want. But that's just a suggestion. Start building intentional community. I don't know where else you're going to go. You're definitely not getting South Central back. You're not getting Compton back. It's a wrap for that shit. You got to leave and let them gentrify it and then move back after it's gentrified. And then maybe you'll be safe Your kid will be safe walking to school or some shit like that. He'll be able to wear a red shirt because it has Mario on it and not because he's part of a fucking 85 South Bloods or some shit like that. It's absurdity, absolute absurdity. But there's a way out of it. So as soon as y'all ready to figure that out, we've got 100 shows at least that lay out the exact blueprint, and it's evolved a little bit over time. It's polished itself over time, but the foundational idea hasn't changed.
That's right. So what we're telling you guys to do is get LSD, watch Nope, and you're gonna come to the same conclusion.
Or shrooms. You know, just to give yourself some variety. Definitely rewatch Nope as the alien.
Get a cup of Crown.
And make sure it's a black-owned liquor that rots your fucking.
That's right.
That rots your fucking liver. Don't be drinking white folks' liver. If you're gonna die from cirrhosis, let it be from Puffy's liquor.
A black man's.
Yeah, black man's liquor. Because that's what the real shit. Soft shoe for the cognac, like Usher. I'm good, man. But yeah, that's it. I don't really have much else to say. Intentional community is the future, and metaphysics, or we're fucked. Prove me wrong. We're here. Anytime you're ready, prove me wrong. Write down bullet points, bring it to the show, and tell me why the hypocrisy of humans doesn't destroy it at the fundamental level before it gets started.
Get the wall tacks with the yarn. I won't respect you till you have that.
Right. You need some thumbtacks with yarn. Show me how this shit gets fixed outside of metaphysics, or we're fucked, and intentional community based on vibrational tribalism. Show me how it's not that. I'm definitely willing to listen. But I don't think it's going to happen. But until then, the Cult of Dangerous Gentlemen is here. We're waiting for you. And just in case anybody's wondering, we got it in the description now. We're evolving here. The Cult of Dangerous Gentlemen, as of right now, consists of Yakub Cavemanistein, the Grand Vizier of Juice Analytics, Doobie Howser, the emotionless psychonaut, and Don Bhagwan, the absurdist shaman. So address your complaints to whoever you want to address them to. We all have different expertise, and we're here for you to show us why it's not metaphysics, so we fuck. Whenever y'all ready, the floor is yours. And until then, I think we've done more than enough work here to wrap it up and have an amazing evening. I'm sure there's going to be a little bit more spirits involved. There's going to be some Delta 8. There might be some chocolate shroom microdosing. Who knows? I won't confirm or deny. But
hey, you got anything going on?
Oh yeah, always. We supposed to be linking up sometime soon for a ceremony, and I know everybody's always busy, but I have a very, very strong connection. I have a very strong link. So whenever we can all get on the same page, I'm ready to carry out a sermon. I'm ready to have to cement this work with a tethered, shared psychedelic experience. I think that's going to help a lot, moving us toward the inevitable place where we're going to find ourselves is sitting on at least 30 to 40 acres and experiencing a whole another dimension of existence. I'm ready. So whenever we can all get each other together, we need to take a head count, see who's going to be involved, get everybody in one place. I don't know if we need to get together on the beach or something to get an Airbnb for a night or some shit like that. But whatever it is, we need to find a day to talk about it, get it cracking, set it up so we can make this thing happen, bro. I'm ready. It's time.
All right.
It's time. So I'm going to let you brothers go. And I'm sure everybody, y'all enjoy the rest of your evening. And we will be connecting sometime soon to carry on this mighty, mighty work. I appreciate you brothers as usual. And have an excellent fucking night.
Peace.
Blessings.
Metaphysics is going to have to be the quote-unquote religion of tomorrow. If it isn't, you're fucked. Totally and absolutely.